Hello guys, welcome back to my channel and enjoy this fanfic part 2. Now let's start the fanfic. Naruto-kun, he heard her say. He's never had a strong attachment to his name, people assuming it's referring to a ramen topping doesn't help, but more or less he's just okay with it. However, spoken by her. Poetry. And with that simple utterance his annoyance is immediately reduced as he welcomes the company of his best friend. Shino-kun told me you were back, said you had a run-in with the fellow rookies and Kurenai-sensei. Hinata said while sitting beside him. Shino would be correct. Your sensei isn't likely to be a very big fan of me for the near future, hope that doesn't cause any problems for you. She shrugs in a very un-Hyuga-like manner, if it is, it does. No sense worrying about the rains of tomorrow today. Very sage-like, Hinata-chan. If this kick-ass shinobi, clan heiress thing doesn't work out you may want to look into motivational speaking. I'd roll my eyes but seeing as how you aren't looking at me the effort would be wasted. If you had called it troublesome I'd have to check for a henge. Baka. She said through a giggle. So, it's been a while. Too long. So, are you going to tell me what happened today and where you've been for the past month? Okay but settle in, it's a long story. Naruto then proceeds to tell her all the new developments, including him getting confirmation about his parents, Sarutobi's plots, and his promotion. Hearing all the things Naruto discovered during his time away makes Hinata immediately pull him into a hug. How are you handling all of this? If today's events are any indication, not well but Kurama gave me some good advice so I'll make peace with it eventually. And what of Tsunade-sama? She asked, releasing the hug. I'm cautiously optimistic. She's been incredibly fair and supportive but she hasn't been Hokage long so who knows. She might surprise you. She might. But on to other things. Since I'm a Chunin now how would you feel about not sneaking around anymore? Just being normal friends that do things in the public. Well, I never wanted to do it in the first place. She said narrowing her eyes. I know and we don't have to rehash the fight. Besides, I don't know how often I'll be able to see you, Tenten or Shino in the next few years so no need to further diminish it. I'd like that, I'm sure they would as well. Okay, so enough about the ever-evolving drama that is my life, how have you been? Well, Hiyashi now sees me as a worthy heir. Who knew all I had to do is tie Neji in the prelims and beat on my younger sister. Idiot. Oh and Neji walks around like fate betrayed him except it's gotten worse since the invasion. I think he thought you losing to Sasuke would somehow right the cosmic wrong he endured, regardless of how contradictory that thinking is. Now he glares at me even more than he used to. He might stalk me just to have something to glare at. I used to love my cousin, I wanted to free him from his seal not only because it's wrong but so we could be a family for once but I realized something. What's that? I'm related to jerks. The branch members, rightly, resent the seal but they revel in the Hyuga arrogance when dealing with non-clan members and I hate it. Sometimes I just want to wash my hands of the whole damn thing. Leave it to Hanabi and live my life. What stops you? I'd kill Hiyashi and the elders before I let them seal me and murder is frowned upon amongst clan members. Surely you jest. I do not and don't call me Shirley. Biting back a laugh she continues, outside of not wanting the seal, I doubt Hanabi's commitment to change and being a Hyuga heir is mostly a thankless position. I wouldn't feel right giving her my responsibilities. Ah, I see. You should be a selfish bastard like me. I only think about what's good for me. Naruto replies. You rarely see people advocate hedonism, I think your willingness to do so deserves to be acknowledged. What can I say? Naruto Uzumaki is one of a kind. That's why I can get away wearing orange, I laugh in the face of convention. Some might call you a weirdo. You still haven't let that go, have you? And I never will. Who calls a 9-year-old a weirdo? Hinata says with a fake pout. Hate to pull the poor lonely orphan card, but poor lonely orphan. I had a better understanding of physics than I did shyness back then. I also recall saying I like people like you. Ignoring the latter statement Hinata shoots back, You still have no understanding of physics. Uh, things don't float, some stuff moves until stopped by other stuff. I have the basics down. Laughing outright, Hinata says, if I didn't know you only pretended to be an idiot, I'd be so concerned that my best friend was mentally unrefined. That's Eris for dumb, isn't it? So, you finally got that translation dictionary I sent you. I started to wonder. The two continue to laugh until Naruto speaks up. It's getting late, would you like me to walk you home? I believe I would. As Naruto was walking Hinata home, there were some uncomfortable conversations happening at the Sarutobi and Yamanaka households. At the Sarutobi compound, Asuma was waiting patiently for his father to answer his question. It's felt like an eternity since he asked it, and Asuma remembers that this caginess was one of the reasons he left in the first place. The only time he seemed to get a straight answer out of his father is when he's being given an order. Hiruzen takes notice of Asuma staring at him and frankly is too tired to give his son the usual runaround. Asuma-kun, I won't tell you everything and you have no right to ask, but I've made decisions regarding Naruto because I was concerned he may be a threat to the village. Naruto Uzumaki. The kid always running around saying he's going to be Hokage. Hiruzen sighs, his shinobi don't seem to pay attention very well. Asuma, that was an act. He wants to be Hokage about as much as you do. He didn't show his true personality during the academy. Shinobi keep secrets, why does that make him a threat? Because the secret he was hiding was how much he resents the villagers. He likely hates them outright, and given what is in him, my not being sure of his loyalty was a problem. Asuma now became worried. He knew that his dad had been haunted by Orochimaru's actions and also handled the unknown poorly. What did you do? I ordered Kakashi not to focus on Naruto's training when he was assigned to his team. I also ordered Jiraiya to just focus on him molding the Biju chakra during the Chunin finals. I didn't believe he'd beat Sasuke, but there was no point in laying a foundation and risking it. You could have gotten him killed. It's morally reprehensible to send someone out on missions while refusing to train him. What was your end goal? Enough, Asuma. I will discuss this no more. I've already had this discussion with Tsunade and Jiraiya. I will not be admonished by my own son. I did what I thought best, and for someone who never paid the boy the least bit of attention, your outrage rings hollow. Asuma bristled at this. I'm not saying I was the kid's biggest fan, but he is a fellow Leaf Nin and deserved better. He did deserve better. He deserved to be raised by Minato and Kushina. Asuma's eyes go wide when Hiruzen says this, but Hiruzen continues on, or if that didn't happen, he deserved to not have the fox sealed in him. After those two things weren't going to happen, he deserved to be acknowledged as a hero, someone who has been in service to this village since he was born. He deserved to know who his parents were and to grow up safe and loved. Don't dare lecture me on what that boy deserved. As someone tasked with often not allowing it, I'm well aware. Do you think I did this for fun? There was no pleasure in it. I lead a village of fools. Shinobi are those who endure, and most of mine seemed to ignore that. In regards to Fox, the civilians were even worse. What was I to do? Make people be nice to Naruto. Make them not hate him. Make them allow their children to be friends. Or should I have let Kakashi take the boy only to have him disappear anyone that looked at Naruto wrong? Couldn't let Tsume do it either. Sure, she's trustworthy, but what about every member of her clan? What about other clans causing a stir because of what Naruto contained? And so I did what I could do. I tried to control one person instead of thousands of people. I tried to be an anchor for Naruto so he'd see that the entire village didn't hate him. But I could never give him the things he really wanted, and apparently he knew I wasn't being honest with him, so he resented me. If I had to guess, he likely saw it as me being on their side, the villagers, and that's the heart of the problem. Naruto defines the villagers as antagonists to his wants and desires. You didn't exactly help in turning him away from that assessment, Pop. No, I didn't, and if I could do it over again, I'm not sure I'd change a thing. Because as Hokage, that's the job. The village must come first. Even when it hurts people you care about, even if it isn't remotely fair. That's what none of my critics seem to understand. I know what I'm asking of Naruto isn't fair, but he doesn't have the luxury of fairness. Whether Minato knew it or not, he drafted his son into a lifetime of service to the village. Unlike when Kushina was around, we don't have a handful of S-rank shinobi on hand to offset never officially having a container. Would you have been this cold to Konohamaru? No. And you see nothing wrong with that? No. I see it and I know what it makes me. Cruel is what it makes you. Also, a hypocrite. Naruto was vulnerable and you decided to keep him that way because that's what you wanted. I need to leave. We've had our disagreements in the past, but this is not the will of fire. As Asuma leaves, the former Hokage looks a decade older than he actually is as he thinks about all the decisions he's made regarding Naruto. As if trying to convince himself Hiruzen thinks, cruelty or not, what I did was what is best for the village, but even he is starting to lose faith in that. At the Yamanaka residence, Inoichi is having a much shorter but no less uncomfortable discussion with Ino, wondering how to sat the girl's curiosity without committing a capital offense. Look, Ino, I really can't go into specifics about this. Naruto experienced something possibly tragic and the Hokage felt it was safer to suppress the memory. But you always told me that kind of manipulation on an underdeveloped mind was dangerous. And it is, but not acting was more so. What happened then? Sighing for the 5th time, I can't tell you that. I'm guessing Naruto regained his memory I suppressed and the night I suppressed it. If he hates me or the clan for it, I can't blame him. For the time being, Ino, just avoid Naruto if you can. His feelings toward me is not without reason, but I don't want him to take it out on you. This also means you can't provoke him because he may take any opening to act against you. This is Naruto, the class idiot. I doubt he'll remember by tomorrow. It'll be fine. If you really believe he's an idiot, then I need to up your training, your observation skills are lacking. Walking back to his apartment, Naruto can't help but smile. Today was largely a good day, capped off by catching up with Hinata. Even the guards at the Hyuga compound didn't try to stare holes into me. As Naruto continues on, he notes the slip crispness in the air which signals the upcoming change in seasons. He's always enjoyed nights like this, cool but not cold, something just approaching a slight chill in the air and a gentle breeze to accompany it. Taking the long way back to his apartment, Naruto decides to train his sensory ability a bit, extending his senses to test his range. He has about a 1-mile range now, and even then it's weaker near the limit. He continues to extend his senses until he is within range of his apartment, where he notices a familiar chakra signature. Damn it, I don't think I'm in the mood for this tonight. Shit. Naruto thinks as he tries to come up with a plan to avoid this particular argument, but seeing no way out of it, he increases his pace and soon arrives at the stairs of his apartment. Taking each step at a deliberate pace, he attempts to mentally prepare himself to talk to her. Hey Sakura, have you been here long? He asks as he opens his door. No, not long, I just wanted to talk to you, we haven't since before the invasion. Sure, come in, he says, and she follows him into his small apartment. What Sakura notices is that the apartment is much cleaner than she expected from Naruto. While his furniture isn't new nor expensive, it is well maintained, and except for some scrolls and notes on his 2-person dining table, there isn't any messiness to be found. Interrupting her thoughts, Naruto asks, so what did you want to talk about? Nothing in particular, it's just been a while is all. Naruto narrows his eyes. She never wanted to have a friendly chat before, so why the act? Sakura, please just tell me. It's getting late, so let's not drag this out. Sighing at his bluntness, Sakura starts, I don't know what to say. I've been recommended to the Mednin program by Kakashi-sensei and been told that Team 7 is finished. What happened? How did we end up like this, with Sasuke dead? We were all friends. Before he can choke it back, Naruto lets slip a laugh, which did not go unnoticed nor appreciated by Sakura. Before she can comment, Naruto interjects, we were never friends, Sakura. You never wanted to be my friend, and I highly doubt you'd be this broken up if the Tem had managed to kill me with Kakashi's jutsu. That's not true. Sakura says at a near shout. We were becoming closer. No, we weren't. You two mocking me over every little thing is not what friends would do. You trying to hit me isn't what friends would do. You never wanted me on your team and your only concern was Sasuke. Don't rewrite history now, Sakura. Fine, Naruto, we weren't friends but we were teammates. Don't you care that you killed your teammate? Not in the slightest. Sakura goes wide-eyed at Naruto's response. You were always jealous of his skill and of his status. I bet you felt vindicated, which if you don't know vindicate. You defining it for me makes you a bitch. Yes, I was jealous of Sasuke. I was an orphan that people enjoyed humiliating and no one wanted to help. Sasuke had everything and didn't value it. He didn't value you, although I've long since come to the conclusion he wasn't wrong in that assessment. But that isn't why I don't feel bad for killing Sasuke. I don't feel bad because Sasuke was actively trying to kill me. We both know what the Chidori can do. He meant to end my life because it was the better alternative than losing a match to me. He just lost his temper. You avoided it so clearly you didn't have to kill him. I didn't, but if I can, I'll kill anyone who attempts to kill me, regardless of the difficulty of my avoiding said attempt. When Sasuke activated the Chidori, he sealed his fate, and I refuse to apologize for valuing my life more than his, even if you feel I should. It isn't like that, you're twisting things around. Why can't you understand? Sasuke wasn't perfect, he'd had a hard life, but he needed understanding. You were always picking at him, trying to show you were better. Was I never supposed to attempt to improve myself? Where is this law that states I have to always be inferior to Sasuke? Naruto said while rolling his eyes, completely ignoring her words about Sasuke's hard life. No, but you didn't have to antagonize him like you did. And I was alone in that. He was just some saint that never had a bad word about me. What he did doesn't matter, Naruto, he's dead. He's dead and you don't even care. Sakura said with tears running down her cheeks. I refuse to apologize for protecting myself. What do you want from me? To be all broken up? To say I share your pain? I don't. Sasuke always thought he was above us and you always thought I was beneath the both of you. I'm glad we're no longer teammates. When did you become heartless? Was your daily insults supposed to endear me to you? What reality do you live in? Neither of you made the slightest effort to get to know me. Both of you treated my mere presence as a taint upon you. Because you were loud and annoying. You're loud and annoying, but I still put forth the effort. Every time I invited you to lunch, you swung on me and screeched about not wanting to date me, as if I'd want a relationship with you. Now who's rewriting history? You were always asking me out. No, I asked you out once and I wasn't fully aware of what I was asking. At that point I thought a date was simply an outing between male and female friends, no romantic context included. When it was explained to me what it actually meant, I tried inviting you to lunch platonically and you attacked me before I could ever finish. How, Sue? How could I not know? I've been on my own for most of my life with no one to teach me the finer points of a lot of things other people assume comes naturally to them. Thankfully I had some really patient friends that helped me because they understood I wasn't dense, I wasn't an idiot, I just simply had no way of knowing certain things. You'd know that true if you gave half a damn about me. This isn't getting us anywhere. Good luck in your training, Sakura, but I think it's time for you to leave. Without a word of protest, Sakura heads for the door and promptly exits. Well, if that isn't just the ideal ending to my day. Well, about that, you can't be serious. I can't do this tonight, I'm too agitated as is. That sounds like you're confusing your problems with my problems. A shinobi endures, so stop avoiding this and talk to your parents. How did you do this anyway? Does it matter how I did it? I did it and you're doing this tonight because I'm sick of the tomato asking me when she'll get to talk to you. You seem extra pissy today. Your mother knows how to annoy better than anyone outside of that one-tails whelp. Naruto laughs at Kurama's plight and prepares for bed. Lying down, Naruto clears his mind and feels the familiar tug on his consciousness. Once in his mindscape, he is immediately unhappy at what he sees. Yondaime-sama, where's my mother? We thought it best we meet you for the first time individually. Oh, no consideration for how I might feel about that. Seems about right. What can I do for you, Yondaime-sama? Please Naruto, I know you're angry but please try to understand I had no choice. No, I had no choice. You had choices, you could have protected your family but you chose the village and damned me. That was a choice. Fine, but it was the best of bad options. Why was it the best? It saved the most number of lives. Would you have sealed Kurama in me to save Iwa? I don't know. Bullshit, you don't know. You wouldn't have. Guess it's good you're dead. The village would have always been more important to you than I was. Oh, and thanks for leaving me to the whims of Sarutobi. I've seen your memories, Naruto. I didn't know Sarutobi would behave this way. I'm so. Would you have still sealed Kurama in me? Knowing everything they did to me, would you still condemn me? Yes. Naruto, I know they've wronged you, but there is good in them and not all are guilty. You know, ever since I was told why they hated me, I've wanted to hurt you. I used to think about how I could. I even considered releasing Kurama and letting this place burn to the ground. One of only things that stopped me is the fact that you wouldn't know. Sealed away in the stomach of a death god. I can't even get justice from you and you stand there and say you'd send me to hell knowing what would happen to me. I really wish I had a way to harm. Do you hate me that much? Asked Minato, wide-eyed. I hate you more than anyone or anything. Are you surprised? Did you think I'd love and admire you? Wow, Dad, you're so brave abandoning me to people that hate and fear me with no enforceable protections. You freely admit you'd choose my tormentors over saving me. What else am I supposed to feel for you? You panicked. I'm sorry, what was that? Minato asked, not believing what he just heard. You panicked, Yondaime-sama. Frowning slightly, Minato replies, what makes you say I panicked? You, a seal master, managed to touch someone who could become intangible twice and never thought to slap a chakra suppression seal on him. I think you panicked. You might be right. I did have a village and my family to save. Interesting you said village first. Well, this has been just a delight, but I'd like to speak to my mother now, Yondaime-sama. Naruto, please, can't you call me something else? It's either Yondaime or Prick, I'll let you choose. You can tell me next time. By Yondaime-sama. As Minato's chakra presence fades, Naruto takes a moment to think about what his father told him of Kurama's release, feeling uneasy about the details of the first few hours of life. Before Naruto can dwell on the new information for long, another presence greets him. Hi Sochi. The redhead says. Hi, Ka-chan. Naruto replies. In another part of Naruto's mindscape, Minato is with Kurama. Poor little Hokage looks sad. I'd take more pleasure in your misery if you weren't a construct. That's enough, demon. I won't be mocked by you. It's bad enough my only son hates me. You mean, demon? I'm a being of pure chakra. I'm more of the natural world than your foolhardy could ever be. Where do you get off calling me a demon, asshole? Especially when I allow you more time with your son. Goddamn ingrate, at least the tomato appreciates what I'm doing for her. Gomen, Kurama, you're right. It's just hard seeing how much Naruto hates me. You have your village to thank for that, and if you have any hope of Naruto forgiving you, you need to understand the source of his pain. I know he's had a hard life. No, not that. That adds to it, but you've been deified in your accursed village. Naruto grew up looking up to you above all others, the perfect and universally loved Minato Namikaze. He wanted to be you, to be that accepted because of what you've achieved. Then on the same night he finds out why people hate him. He realizes his hero did that to him. Not only that, but his hero is probably his father. This near godlike man not only left him alone but was loved for doing it. It's not rational, but a part of Naruto believes you could have done something else because a childish part of him doesn't believe there was a limit to your abilities. At least he did. He may start to see you as just a man, and if he does, you may earn his forgiveness, but not if you insist you were right to leave him. I didn't have a lot of time to plan this, you know. I know he suffered, but what was my option? Let you destroy the village and kill thousands while I run off with my family. I couldn't live with myself. And this is why he'll continue to hate you. You did have an option. You chose the one that saved the most lives, but at the expense of your son. You left him unprotected. Minato, approaching a near-seethed, wanted to point out he had left protection for Naruto but was cut off. Before you say that you left contingencies in place, you knew your sensei's personality faults. It was entirely predictable he'd leave your boy alone or go along with whatever Sarutobi wanted. He may be a great shinobi, but he's a weak man and has shown his response to turmoil is to run away. So, you left your son with an irresponsible middle-aged adolescent. Minato wanted to defend Jiraiya, but he couldn't. He loved his sensei, but seeing Naruto's memories left him with the impression that while Jiraiya was an excellent sensei for him, that may have been an outlier and the man never truly intended to be there for his godson. I don't know what to do. How can I apologize for what he's been through when I'd make the same decision? I couldn't justify sacrificing that many people for my own happiness. That you'll have to figure out yourself. Why do you care if I square things with Naruto? What's in it for you? A matter of self-interest. His emotional stability benefits me, and that's all I'll say on the matter. Now away with you, prick. Kurama finishes with a chuckle. The morning finds Naruto waking up, tears in his eyes but feeling lighter. While he still didn't know how to feel about his father, he adored getting to meet his mom and loved her red hair. Thanks to the conversation, Naruto had someone to meet today, along with his other activities for his last day off before he enters his intensive training period. Looking at the clock, Naruto realizes he's slept in but can meet Tenten at her team's training grounds if he hurries, so he sets off to get ready for the day. After a quick shower and small breakfast, Naruto gets dressed in his signature orange jumpsuit and heads to training ground 9, where he sees the team wrapping up their exercises for the day. Walking over to the group, Naruto greets each member: Ohayo, Lee, Gai-sensei, Tenten, Neji-chan. Ohayo, they all say except Neji, that glares at Naruto, noticing the vest. Uzumaki, you were promoted? Neji asks in disbelief. Yes, Neji. I guess it was fated to be. Naruto says with a barely hid smirk. Your flames of youth will surely reach new heights, Naruto. Gai said. Thank you, Gai-sensei. I appreciate that, and only hope my youthful flames burn forever brightly. Yosh! Shouted Lee and Gai as they make their exit. Tenten, I do not understand how you have befriended this moronic boy, stated Neji. Tenten, not wanting to be in the middle of Naruto and Neji, again tries to deflect the comment but is interrupted by Naruto. Neji, why don't we get along? I see us both as strivers, trying to fight against a stacked deck, so why are we so acrimonious toward each other? Now, I know you believe in fate, but you believe that if things were fair and positions decided by merit, you'd be in Hinata's position, yes. Now, Neji has been around Naruto enough to be cautious. He thinks for a moment, trying to find the trap but cannot see it, so answers honestly, you are correct, Uzumaki. If clan head was decided by merit, then I would be the heir, not that failure. Now, Neji, I recall a double elimination during the prelims, so she isn't really a failure, but I take your point. How about I make you a deal? I will treat you how you believe a fair and just universe would operate. I acknowledge you, Neji, as the most talented Hyuga of your generation. Taken aback, Neji can only nod at Naruto's pronouncement. Hey, Tenten, you busy? No mission today, and I don't have to work at the shop. Why? Oh, I figured it'd be a good time to meet your idol. Both Neji and Naruto were temporarily deafened by her squeal. As they depart, Naruto bids Neji a good day. Bye, Neji Haim. He says, leaving the boy irate. Why do you always have to poke at him, Naruto? Tenten asks, trying not to laugh. Honestly, it hurts knowing I'm not first in your heart, Tenny. Did our love mean nothing? You just cast me aside for fancy bloodline limit and a perma scowl. I thought we had something. Tenten gains a tick mark over her brow and proceeds to draw a kunai, which doesn't go unnoticed by Naruto because he immediately takes off. Shouting, Tenten says, "Why are you running, Naruto? I'm not gonna hurt you. You lie. I won't be taken in by your sweet words anymore, vile temptress." This response causes Tenten to throw her kunai at a retreating Naruto, barely missing him. The two continue to run until they arrive at Hokage Tower where Tenten stops and looks visibly nervous. Seeing this, Naruto puts a hand on her shoulder and gave her a reassuring smile. See, she's calmed down. The two enter the building and make their way to Tsunade's office, stopping at Shizune's desk just outside. "Hi, Shizune-san, is Tsunade available?" "Hi, Naruto. You know you don't have to call me san, don't you?" "Hi, sorry, force of habit." "No worries, and is this who you told me about?" "Yes, this is my very good friend and Tsunade's biggest fan. Tenten, this is Tsunade's longtime apprentice, Shizune Kato." "Hi, it's really nice to meet you, Tenten." "It's nice to meet you as well. Now, Tsunade-sama doesn't have a lot of time, but I did make a little room in her schedule for you, so go right on in." Walking to the door, Naruto knocks and waits for permission to enter. Once given, he walks in and introduces Tenten to her personal hero. While this is happening, Kakashi is having discussion with Asuma, who is overseeing the training of Team 10. "I talked to Pop last night. I'm beginning to think the old man has lost his mind." Holding back a scoff, Kakashi responds, "If only we were so lucky." No, he knew exactly what he was doing. He also let it slip whose Naruto's parents were. "Can't tell you how stupid I felt not putting that together." Taking a long drag of his cigarette, Asuma continues, "I know it is late in the game, but I'd like to make it up to Naruto. I understand he's entering some intense training for the next few years, so any help I can be, let me know. I appreciate the offer, but if it is out of pity, he won't accept it." "It's not. It's just, most shinobi understand the boy isn't what he contains and pat ourselves on the back for treating him neutrally. It's so easy to forget how he's actively saving the village and what he lost in order to do it. We owe him a lot and far too few people acknowledge it, content to write him off. I know I did, but I'd like to change that." "Okay, I'll let him know. He has a Fuden affinity, but Danzo is training him on that." At the mention of Danzo, Asuma quirks a single eyebrow. "I know what you're thinking, but he's actually changed. Don't know when or how, but him and Naruto have a previous relationship, and now he isn't all darkness as my ally and world domination why like he was. But I'm sure we can figure something out. Naruto isn't likely to turn down training." Asuma responds with a single nod and Kakashi shushens away. Naruto made his exit shortly after introducing Tenten to Tsunade. While he didn't have a lot to do today, there was one important visit he needed to make as prompted by his mother. Before going, however, he needed to pick up something, which is why he is in this market right outside of the clan compound district. Making his way to the liquor aisle, he finds what he was looking for and heads to the cashier. Preparing himself for an incident, Naruto is shocked with the cashier rings him up, smiles and tells him to have a good day. He says the same to her and continues to his destination. Finally, making it to the Inuzuka compound, Naruto heads to meet Tsume, his godmother. He takes a minute, remembering how animated his mom was when talking about the clan head. "Sochi, I'm guessing Sarutobi never told you Tsume was supposed to look after you if something happened to me, did he?" "No, he didn't. I've never even spoken with her. I know her son and he's an asshole." "She was too," Kushina said, laughing. "We used to fight all the time at the academy. The day we became friends, it's because we got stinking drunk on some cheap sake she lifted from her parents." Watching his mom act out her drunken hijinks with Tsume delights Naruto and brings a tear to one eye. He can't help but think of how much he missed out on and how many things he isn't even aware he's missing by losing his parents. Kushina's story reaching its climax refocuses Naruto. "So, her parents find us on the Inuzuka training grounds. Every time they try to scold one of us, the other one speaks up in defense. At some point I yell that I will lower the drinking age when I become Hokage, Databane. And then pass out. We had to clean the kennels for a month but had been inseparable ever since. Earth to Dobi, what are you doing here? Naruto snaps back to attention when he hears Kiba address him. Oh, hey, you. I'm here to speak with Sum-san, so if you'd excuse me. This only serves to irritate Kiba, who has no issue letting it be known. First of all, don't pretend you don't know my name dead last. Secondly, what do you want with my mom? Look, Kidra, Naruto said while narrowing his eyes, feigning as if he's struggling to remember. What I have to speak to your mother about doesn't concern you, so if you would please either announce me or get out of the way, I'd appreciate it. Now, this would seem an entirely weak effort to annoy someone. And it is, but Kiba is just easy like that, much to Naruto's amusement. Especially now that the boy seems to really want to hit Naruto. But after a strongly worded warning from Kurenai-sensei, Kiba knows he can't attack the Dobi, so instead he screams in frustration, which alerts Sum. What the hell is going on out here? Hello Sum-san, I don't know what's wrong with Kiba, I just asked to speak with you and he seemed greatly upset by the request. Oh, that's odd. Deciding to not investigate it further, Sum moves on. What can I do for you, Naruto? I was hoping to talk to you and I wanted to give you this, he said, handing her the bottle of sake. Looking at the bottle, Sum instantly tears up, remembering her lost friend. Before she can even ask the question, Naruto speaks, I know. And that is enough for Sum to invite Naruto in while sending Kiba off to run an errand. Sitting in her kitchen, Sum looks at the boy that was supposed to have such a different life than the one he's led. Never has her loyalty been tested as when Sarutobi denied her permission to adopt Naruto and later forbade he from having any contact with the boy for fear she'd reveal his heritage or make him grow too attached. She can't help but wonder how Naruto knows and if he resents her. While not raised as one, Sum knows from Kushina that Uzumakis are family first, and she would have ignored Hiruzen entirely to be there for Kiba and Hana. Getting lost in her grief and guilt, she almost doesn't hear Naruto speak. So, how should we do this? We can start with what you know and how you know it. I've suspected the Yondaime as my father since the night I became a genin. I had that confirmed and learned of my mother's identity while retrieving Tsunade-sama. As for how I know about you, the night the Yondaime and my mother sealed the Kyuubi inside of me, they both left a chakra imprint in the seal which I managed to access last night. If I didn't know them, I'd think that impossible. Sum said in between chuckles. After her laughter died down, things became quiet once more as neither party knows exactly how to have this conversation. Reaching her breaking point, not that she ever had much tolerance for inaction, Sum starts, Naruto, I'm sorry. Please don't apologize. I'm assuming Sarutobi told you to stay away from. Probably some deep-seated need to torture me. Naruto said with a mirthless laugh, but the comment seemed enough to break the ice as the two found conversing came naturally from then on. The two talked at length, Naruto asking about his mom, asking about Sum herself. Sum followed suit while congratulating Naruto on his promotion. It had been a few hours, but it felt like minutes when Naruto saw the time and took his leave, promising to stay in touch. On his way back to his apartment, Naruto is filled with an optimism he hasn't allowed himself to indulge in quite some time. He is actually looking forward to the future. Training begins in earnest tomorrow and he'll have no excuses. He'll either show he has what it takes to be an excellent shinobi or he won't. The chance to live on his own accomplishments and effort, unencumbered, is almost intoxicating. But this new hope isn't just related to being a shinobi, as Naruto also enjoys the idea that he doesn't have to fear the villagers as much, not having to hide his friendships for fear his very presence will taint their reputations. Not only that, but he has new people he can potentially rely on. While it is too soon to say he fully trusts Tsunade or Shizune, he has to admit that there does seem to be an ease to which they understand each other, but time will tell and he'll enjoy the relations while he can. Thinking back on that night in the bar with Tsunade, Naruto can't help but think about Sasuke. For so long Sasuke was an outsized presence in Naruto's life. The tragic genius the villagers loved but whom he could never bother to love in return. Naruto would never lie and say he wasn't jealous of Sasuke, but it was never because of his so-called talent or how things came easier, which is remarkable when you have dedicated senseis but people believe as they wish. No, Naruto's jealous was that Sasuke knew loneliness but chose to stay that way. In a way, Sasuke was no better than Inari. He did nothing to help himself, instead chasing after his own personal boogeyman because it was easier than grieving his losses, and so much of the village enabled him to do so. Tsunade lost her family too, but she had spent years serving others. Her two greatest losses were stacked on top of numerous others. Sasuke could never reach out, not because he was traumatized but because he simply didn't value anyone to the degree he valued his clan. And if Naruto was being honest, that too fueled his resentment. The simple fact of the matter is that loneliness cannot be cured by purely yourself, it takes others, and that means that on some level Naruto was dependent upon the very people who cursed his existence. He needed them and he hated it. He didn't have the framework of clan-bred arrogance to universally diminish all those not of his name. Sasuke did, and while it only continued his suffering, he never had to feel the true torment Naruto did. Some bastards have all the luck, but luck eventually runs out. It was the next day and what appeared to be a habit, Kakashi had shown up on time. Naruto, I have 6 months to get you into shape and this will be the hardest thing you've ever done. We've got some areas we have to focus on, conditioning, taijutsu, and kenjutsu mainly. I already know your ninjutsu is good, so we likely won't be expanding it just yet, more refining it so you've mastered the ones you know. We'll also be developing your tactical thinking. Any questions? Well, I'm trying to develop a new style of combat fuinjutsu with a friend. Will I have time to do that? Yes, that shouldn't be a problem, but for now I want you to run around the village wall and then get back here. Also, don't use chakra. Once I get a sense of your baseline, I may add resistance seals to your training. Now get going. Several hours later we find an exhausted and pained Chunin on the ground getting an eye smile from his sensei. You know, sensei, you don't have to look like you enjoy my misery so much. But I do. I love breaking new recruits. It was my favorite activity in Anbu. Anyway, I'm impressed with what I've seen and we have a good place to start building. I'll see you tomorrow bright and early. Kakashi says before leaving in a swirl of leaves. Cursing his bastard sensei, Naruto picks himself up and starts home. On his way he gets an alert from a security seal. Someone had breached his apartment. Close enough to his place when he got his alert, Naruto extends his senses, and while not familiar with the chakra signature he can tell they are likely Junin level. Not wanting to foolish rush in, he tries and successfully locates Kakashi and makes his way there. An unsuspected knock interrupted Kakashi and his reading time. He opens the door to see his student, confused as he's never revealed where he lives to his students. Sorry for bothering you, sensei. I got an alert from a security seal that someone is in my apartment and I sensed it was someone of Junin level. Oh, and that's how I found you if you're wondering. I'm a sensor, I sense things. Anywho, I'd normally handle it myself, but I've yet to recover from your assessment and was wondering if I could get a bit of help. Kakashi's single eye darkens before he gives Naruto his eye smile. We're going to discuss this sensor ability you failed to mention. As far as the intruder, I'll check it out. Why don't you go get something to eat and I'll find you when it's over? No problem, thanks sensei. Kakashi only nods before he shunshuns away. Inoichi Yamanaka is not an unreasonable man. He understands that he might not be Naruto's favorite person. While following orders he's earned the blonde's ire. However, coming between a man and his only daughter is crossing a bit of a major line. Doing so while boxing him in with S-class secrets is just downright ish, in this veteran shinobi's estimation. So, yes, Inoichi is a little hot right now. Enough so to invite himself in as to guarantee an audience. It appears so. It's just going to be a civilized chat, so there's no issue. Just a calm exchanging of ideas between two rational adu. You know, he keeps some really good tea in his cupboard. A nice, soothing blend. You'd never expect the knucklehead to have such good taste, and yet, there it is. May I make you some tea, Inoichi-san? I doubt Naruto would mind. Hiding his surprise that Kakashi managed to sneak up on him, Inoichi declines the tea. Where is Naruto? Ma, Inoichi-san, that's not important right now. I'm much more interested in where you are and why. What business could you have with my cute little Chunin? I believe that's best left between Naruto and I, Kakashi. And yet that's not going to happen. I think it'd be better to accept your current reality instead of clinging to what you'd prefer. Fine, Kakashi. Naruto revealed something to my daughter that is driving a wedge between us. I wanted to discuss this with him and advise he be more mindful of his words in the future. You know, Inoichi, that sounds uncomfortably close to a threat. I'd really hate for you to threaten my student. It'd upset me ever so. And your emotional state would be my problem. No, see, if you're threatening Naruto, you won't have any more problems. Your clan will. Like, what happened to Inoichi? Who is going to be clan head? Who will comfort poor Ino? You know, things of that nature. But since you aren't threatening my student, this is all rather moot, wouldn't you agree? Kakashi said, as if rather bored by the topic. I believe I would. Said with a sneer. Good. Oh, and Inoichi. Yes, Kakashi. We won't have this discussion again. Take that however you like. Ya nay. 3 months later. 3 months as a Chunin. 3 months of intensive training in Naruto's progress was satisfactory according to Kakashi, who only say satisfactory to get on Naruto's nerves. Anyone else would be extremely impressed with how far Naruto has come in solidifying his basics and expanding upon them, not to mention his conditioning. Even if Naruto promised to send 100 exploding kunai up your bastard, should Kakashi make him climb up the cliff of a mountain single-handedly again. In the middle of the second month, Asuma joined to help Naruto develop his wind-enabled kenjutsu, especially helpful as Naruto decided to go with dual kodachi. Things are also going well in his personal life. Naruto interacts with his friends in public and has yet to have a single incident with the villagers. He has also been able to help them in their training for the upcoming Chunin exams in Suna. He's even resolved his issues with Kurenai, figuring that while she was in the wrong, he took out previously held frustrations on her. Now the two are perfectly cordial to each other, which just fine for him. Naruto is still trying to crack his new combat fuinjutsu but hasn't quite gotten it, though Tenten is hoping as it'd help augment her style. Naruto had the idea soon after he managed to graft the explosive array on a kunai. Naruto theorizes that he can get elemental barrier seals with kunai operating as the points of creation. If he can get the array right, he won't need specific kunai for each element. Instead, he could use hand signs and the equivalent chakra for AD or C rank jutsu to erect the barriers. If he can get the barriers to work, then other arrays should work as well. This would mean being able to prepare the battlefield on the spot if ever ambushed, and the liability of writing seals during combat is removed. Naruto has also been learning to write seals with his chakra, but that has been slow going. Not just because of the difficulty. It requires the seal to be perfectly memorized instead of Naruto's process of feeling how the seal is made in above average chakra control. Never one to quit, he is having his close work on both those issues, getting some insight about sealing from his parents. He has managed to upgrade Minato from prick to bastard, and has gotten some chakra control exercises from Tsunade. Speaking of which, Tsunade-sama, why are you here? Oh, that's hurtful. Naruto, not happy to see me. Of course I am, I was just expecting Kakashi-sensei, but he seems to be running late. Well, that's why I'm here. Kakashi was just assigned a last-minute mission and I agreed to handle your taijutsu lesson for the day. Naruto doesn't have the words for how much he really doesn't want to do this. Tsunade isn't no for restraint. He's seen her break Jiraiya's ribs and say what you want about his failure of a godfather, but the man isn't exactly weak. However, He has no way to get out of this, so his only hope is to minimize the damage. 1 hour later. You could have hit me less, you know. Grinning from ear to ear, but then how would you have learned? Learn what? Tsunade-sama. 1. I have a long memory. 2. She says, narrowing her eyes at Naruto, don't ever call me Ba-chan again. Naruto takes a minute to think, that was months ago. Also, I didn't even mean it. I couldn't take the risk. She says, laughing as they separate. When she is comfortably out of earshot, Naruto starts to mutter, don't call you Ba-chan, I'll call you Ba-chan if I want. Abusive Hokages attacking loyal shinobi. You shouldn't talk to yourself, it makes you seem crazy. Crazy is attractive, gives the impression of hidden depths. Who told you that? I told it to myself. I need a new best friend. I wonder if Ino or Tenten are free. So cruel, Hinata-chan, so very cruel. Besides, I'm irreplaceable. Well, I won't know until I try. You wound me. I had something to ask you and now I'm not sure if you'd just ruthlessly cast me aside. I could just beat it out of you. Nah, not your style. I could tell everyone you're afraid of ghosts. Everyone should be. They shouldn't exist. Both walk quietly for a moment until Naruto notices a devious smile on Hinata's face which makes him feel hot and cold simultaneously. Please, tell me, Naruto-kun, she says in a meek voice with a bit of blush. Feeling flustered and not knowing why Naruto can only stare at his friend before managing to get out, you can do that on command. Yep. Why? Like it. I reserve comment. Anyway, he looks away and Hinata notices his seemingly forced lack of eye contact. I was wondering, if you're free or whatever, if you'd like to go on a date with me. I suppose I could do that, she answered neutrally while internally freaking out. Of course you'll have to speak with Hiashi because Kami forbid I not be treated like property. Yay. I know. When do you think I could get in to see him? He can make time now, no point in delaying. There actually is, I've just been dodging mountain crushing fists and need a shower and a change of clothes. That didn't matter when you asked me. Because you already like me. Hell, you've probably seen me. To this Hinata can only blush, just come to the compound in 2 hours, okay? Sure. Hinata-chan, see you then. The two head to their respective residences, Hinata grateful he didn't acknowledge her lack of denial. Arriving to the compound wearing a semi-formal outfit of black slacks, a dark blue long-sleeve shirt and black loafers, Naruto greets the guards who promptly retrieve Hinata, who has also changed into a lavender kimono. You nervous? She asks. No, he lies. Liar. She knows. I prefer artistic interpretation of real-time events. He replies with a smile. Most liars would. She offers with a smile to match. As if most liars could be as great as me. Both snicker but stop when they arrive to the study of Hiashi, awaiting permission to enter. Once received, Hinata enters first followed by Naruto. Good evening Otu-sama, Hiashi-sama they greet the clan head. Daughter, Uzumaki, why have you requested to speak with me today, he says without a hint of emotion. Thank you for your time, Hiashi-sama, I am here today to request permission to date your daughter. I see, he says and then leaves the room quiet. I will allow it on the condition Hinata relinquishes her title as heiress of the clan. Both are shocked even if a small part of each teen realizes they shouldn't be. May I ask why she'd have to give up being clan head to date me? First, because to be a leader one must be able to sacrifice for their ambitions and Hinata's quest to uproot generations of Hyuga tradition is quite ambitious. That cannot be achieved without cost, she should learn that now. In exchange for breaking off all non-professional contact, however, she will get my full backing to remove the cage bird seal when I transition to the Elder Council. Secondly, she is an heiress, you offer nothing that benefits the clan. My benefit to your clan is not kill most of the man branch, asshole, Naruto thought but dared not let it show on his face. Finally, said asshole continued, the Sandaime does not trust you. He has considered you a possible threat and I have no reason to question his judgment and as such, I will not trust you with my daughter. Why do I have to break off all contact? We have been friends for years. Hinata said, refusing to cry in front of him. Yes, you haven't it benefited you, but I think it has long since stopped aiding in your development. As such, there is no real reason to continue seeing this boy. The choice, however, is yours. Both leave the study, shocked at what has just happened. Making their way to the front gate, Hinata hugs Naruto and starts to weep as he hugs her back. I'm sorry. She whispers. Why are you apologizing? Because he's making me be like them, making it a choice of your happiness or the general welfare of others. It's not fair. It's not, but I couldn't ask you to give up on your goal, nor risk getting sealed for me. I need you to do something for me. Anything, just name it. Move on. If I accept this, he's likely going to start accepting offers to court me, and I don't want you to miss out on being with someone else. So please, promise me. Hesitating initially, Naruto relents, I promise. Neither of them had the courage to say goodbye, so they separate at his promise. She heads to her room, he off the compound. It would be 3 days before Naruto revealed what happened to anyone, finally opening up to Kakashi after he saw his pupil seeming distraught. While he had no advice for his student, he did express sympathy, knowing that the boy rarely seems to catch a break and the Sandame's misguided notions have once again negatively affected Naruto. Looking at the boy, Tsunade can tell he's anything but fine. She becomes concerned for the boy, his eyes looking like they did the night they spoke at that bar. Damn it, and he was making progress, she thinks. Trying to come up with a tangible way to reassure Naruto, she says, Naruto, we will launch a full investigation into the fire no matter where it leads, you have my word. Taking some comfort that someone cares enough to do something, Naruto thanks Tsunade for that and her concern. If that's all, Tsunade-sama, I need to arrange for a place to stay for the night. Why not stay at the Senju compound with Shizune and I? We have plenty of room, so you'd have privacy and it'd be good company. I truly appreciate the offer, but I couldn't impose. You've done enough for me as is, and I wouldn't want to take advantage of your generosity. Naruto, believe me, it wouldn't be an imposition, besides I could just always order you to do it. She said, narrowing her eyes. Aware enough to know when he's lost, and to feel a bit of fear, Naruto accepts her offer and heads out to grab some essentials until he is allowed back into his apartment. Kakashi follow him to make sure nothing happens and escort him to the compound. We don't know if the fire was an attack, but we can assume he thinks it is, and with everything else he's likely to lash out at any perceived act of hostility. Hi, Hokage-sama. As Kakashi exists via Shunshin, Tsunade hears the signature tapping of Danzo's cane as the elder enters her office. Evening, Tsunade-sama. I understand my student has met with some misfortune. Sighing, Tsunade can only nod at the statement. And what will you do? I will have it investigated. There isn't much I can do until we have the facts. Forgive me, I don't mean about the fire, I am referring to my student. I cannot imagine he has taken it well. What will you do? He'll be staying at the Senju compound for the time being, but outside of that, what can I do? He looked at his limit, and I'm worried that if anything else happens, he'll attack. So, why not let him? Seeing Tsunade go wide-eyed, Danzo continues, not in the village, of course. Give him and Kakashi a mission that guarantees combat. Let him direct that energy at safe targets instead of sitting on it. I guess that's better than him going after Hiashi. That could be debated. Danzo says as he leaves her office. After the initial shock, Tsunade can only laugh at Danzo's parting remark. At the Hokage monument, sitting on top of his father's head, Naruto looks out onto the village. So lost in his head he nearly didn't sense his visitor. I'd really rather be alone with my thoughts. Humor an old man, would you? I thought my humoring you was one of the reasons you turned on me, Sandame-sama. Naruto replied. Maybe you have a point. Maybe. What can I do for Sandame-sama? I heard about your apartment. I just wanted to see if you were alright. I am just great. Will that be all? Naruto, it doesn't have to be like this. I know I've made mistakes. I tried to make up for past failures by saddling you with baggage you didn't deserve. You'll never know how much I regret it and its consequences. Great. Just great. You regret the consequences. Well, I have to still live with them. Everyone's so sorry after the fact. What good is your sorry? Hiyashi coerces Hinata to break off all ties with me because of your opinion of me. I lose the person I love, but hey, at least you regret your actions. What a fair trade that is. Naruto, I didn't know. Let me speak with Hiyashi, see if I can fix this. You can't. You know what kind of person he is. I'd have to hold a kunai to his throat before he'd ever admit he was wrong, nor would he pass up this chance to keep Hinata under his thumb. For all I know, your irrational fear of me was only a pretense and he would have always had a reason to pull this. Naruto, I'm sorry. For everything, for not trying harder. I'm sorry. I believe you, I'm just not sure how much it matters. Naruto says before he departs, leaving Hiruzen alone. I will make this up to you, Naruto, I promise. The next day, Naruto, do you understand the mission? Yes, we're about to make some assholes have a really bad day and then no days after that. That's a way of putting it. The encampment should be within your sensory range, what can you tell me? About 30 chakra signatures, only 2 significant, so missing nin. So, how would you like to handle this? Kakashi asks as he signals for his pupil to stop. I have an idea, it should handle most of them while driving the missing nin in a controlled direction if they get out. And how do you plan to drive them to my direction? To this, Naruto only smirks before creating 15 cage bushins. You'll see, sensei. They should be in position in 15 minutes. Nodding to the blonde, Kakashi and Naruto continue onto the camp. Getting the feedback from 4 of his clones, Naruto informs Kakashi that they are in position and he'll be back to help with the missing nin. Kakashi only has to wait 2 minutes longer when he feels a large, coordinated chakra spike. Fire style. Dragon flame bullet. Wind style. Great breakthrough. After that, all that was heard were screams as the white-hot flames raged through the unsuspecting encampment. Naruto had predicted the 2 missing nins would make it out of the ambush, but he had underestimated himself, only one did. Kakashi Hatake. What do I owe the pleasure? I was Diamond Dog. Oh, Naruto was right, I am about to give this asshole the worst day of his life, Kakashi thought with a bit of glee. However, his fun was not to be. As the two were squaring I was Diamond Dog suddenly found himself with a slit throat courtesy one blue-eyed Uzumaki. Naruto, what has Uncle Kakashi told you about ruining his fun? Not to. Precisely. Although, sensei, that reminds me, we need to talk. Yes, I believe we do given all of this, Kakashi said pointing to the funeral pyre still burning. Oh, no, that can wait. Sensei, you're a higher rank shinobi, yes. Flatterer. Yes, yes I am. So, why is it every time we come across an enemy ninja none of them consider running from you? Zabuza I somewhat get, but the rest of them? It can't just be pride. What are you getting at? Sensei, are you some legendary? It's the only thing that makes sense. Kakashi can only laugh. Yes, Naruto, I am. I go out of my way to antagonize enemy ninja. I figure if they feel some type of way about it, they can fight me. It usually ends poorly for them when they do and I get a workout. Fun for everyone, until they end up dead, I suppose. Now wrap him up so we can head back. You're weird, sensei. I've seen you have full-on debates with 20 copies of yourself, let's not judge. Fair enough. Naruto says as he finishes sealing the body. The mission report in itself is mildly disturbing. Maybe she's being hypocritical since the mission was wholesale slaughter, but killing 29 people with 3 jutsu, that's not normally. The effortless killing of a B rank Iwa nin to top off the night, and Tsunade doesn't know whether to be concerned, proud or relieved. Concerned because a 13-year-old has shown the ability to bring a lot of death very quickly without much effort. Chakra, am I right? Proud, because he's only been serious trained for less than a year, counting the Chunin exams, and this kid can bring a lot of death quickly and without much effort. He's what a ninjutsu specialist should be. Not those idiots that exchange ninjutsu like it's a game but knowing what jutsu to use and when to end the fight. If they were on better terms, Sarutobi sensei would likely have an ideal apprentice in Naruto. Chakra for days and an intuitive grasp of ninjutsu. It's a shame really. Oh, and finally relief. Why would Tsunade be relieved? Because he didn't bring that death in the village, on say a certain clan of arrogant bastards. Yay. She's going to go with relief on this one. What was truly disturbing was Danzo's giggle. He was giggling like a pervert reading porn, it was unsettling. If that's all, Naruto, you are dismissed. And with a nod, her favorite blonde leaves. Turning to the Junin in the room, Kakashi, I've asked you to keep me of his progress. You never mentioned he was learning fire release. That's because I didn't know, Tsunade-sama. I just thought he'd throw a lot of those exploding kunai he's fond of. Danzo, do you have something to contribute? I didn't know he knew any Kaden jutsu. I attempted to get him to complete the nature manipulation exercises, but when he started them he said, and I quote, I don't like fire style. It feels like mindless destruction, no wonder it fit the tem so well. So, I assumed he had stopped developing it, apparently I was mistaken. Danzo said with a shrug. Okay, I need you both to impress upon him he can't keep his abilities a secret from us. We need to know what he can do so we can plan for the Akatsuki. Also, you really let him stop learning something because of that. I never learned Doden Jutsu because I thought Hiruzen was a bit of a bastard, so I could relate. I'm surrounded by weirdos, Tsunade said, more to herself than anything. In AME. Alright, gang, good to have you all here. I know these quarterly meetings can be a bit dry, but they are important. So, I'm going to get the most pressing news out of the way. We've had a bit of a setback. It has been confirmed, the Sanbi is currently out of play, it'll take at least 3 years for it to form, so we're going to be switching plans a little. We'll be taking more missions while Zetsu keeps tabs on the other containers. Now, I know this is disappointing, but things happen and this is no one's fault. With that out of the way, Kakuzu, how are we financially? Good, Leader Sama. If we keep our current mission intake, we'll have some nice reserves when we start collecting containers again. Excellent. So, with the major things out of the way, does anyone have anything to say? Issues needing addressing. I have one, Leader Sama, UHN. Then Deidara-kun, you have the floor. I'm concerned. I feel like we've formed a bond here, but that is threatened when one of us seems to not want to contribute. And by one of us you mean me. Yes, Itachi, I mean you. And what hurts the most is you're the one that recruited me. I thought we had such a good time, but after that you just can't be bothered. He's right, Itachi. When I try to discuss Jashin with you, I can tell you aren't even listening. Being a criminal is one thing, but no need to be a HN. Use your words, Tachi-kun. I hate you so much, Kisame. So, very much. Love you too, Tachi-kun. Look, guys, I know I'm not the warmest person. I tend to keep my own counsel. I don't know why, it's just my inclination, but I understand how that can be disharmonious to the group and our aims. I can't promise to change overnight, but I can try. So, why not start now? Tell us something about yourself. Let's see. My name is Itachi Uchiha. I like Paki, Genjutsu. I loved my little brother. I hate war and arrogance. My hobbies are training, people watching, and breakdancing. I seek peace. You breakdance? Kisame asked. Yes, we need proof. The rest of the group chorused. What followed was Itachi pulling off an impressive series of moves. Alright, well, that was entertaining. Thanks, Itachi. Now if there is nothing more, why don't we bring it? Group hug, shouts Hidan. The training period had come to an end. Now was the time to see if he would be accepted to the elite of the village's shinobi forces. If he succeeds, there will be no more saving princesses, which he's done twice since becoming a chunin, but embracing the darkness of his chosen profession. The darkness that molded Itachi and in some respect broke Danzo. He had been concerned if he could really do it, keep up with the Anbu forces, but like so much of his life, the decided lack of choice makes the concern moot. Right now, that lack of choice is represented by 4 Anbu agents attempting to take his head in the middle of this forest at night. I need to create some space and regroup, Naruto thought as he dodged a series of kunai barely perceivable in the darkness of the night. Knowing the goal of the kunai was to herd him into a trap, Naruto instead darts to the source, immediately creating 2 cage bunshin and having them disperse to blind his assailant. Using the temporary distraction, Naruto hurriedly runs deeper into the forest. Same, report, commanded Tora. He distracted me with chakra smoke, Taicho, and is currently running deep into the forest. He's likely setting up traps. We've lost the element of surprise. Damn it, how did we let a recruit slip past us? You underestimated him, Tori. We all did. How do we proceed? Carefully, said Tora. 4 shadowy figures give pursuit in a diamond formation, looking for the potential new recruit. In their haste, they miss the kunai positioned in a triangular fashion until it was too late. Uzumaki style. Tri-flame formation barrier Fuin, Naruto calls out, ensnaring the 4 Anbu in his trap. Naruto emerges from the tree, breathing a visible sigh of relief that his trap worked, until he sees one of the figures disperse into mud and is immediately on guard, narrowly ducking the odachi aimed for his head. Steadying himself, Naruto puts his hands on the kodachi, sharing a scabbard on his lower back, awaiting the charge. The 2 shinobi don't move, waiting for the other to give them the smallest of openings, and feeling confident he found one, Raiyan attacks. Quickly closing the distance, Raiyan performs a vertical slash on Naruto, who blocks the attack with one of his kodachi while taking a swipe at Raiyan's neck with the other. Tilting backward, Raiyan avoids the attack and creates space between the 2. Seeing the first light of dawn, Naruto knows the test is almost coming to a close and fights back a grin with the utmost effort. Seeing time is almost up, Raiyan dashes toward Naruto, hoping to subdue the potential recruit, and begins a relentless assault. While practiced, Naruto is not as skilled with his blades as his attacker is and is being overwhelmed by the superior kenjutsu artist. Soon enough, Raiyan has his blade to Naruto's neck, forcing him to drop his weapons. Do you yield? Why would I do that? You're a good kid, but don't yield before I hurt you to prove a point. Do what you must, but you should be more mindful of your surroundings, Naruto says as he disperses into a cloud of smoke. Earth style. Swamp of the underworld, as all Raiyan hears before he sinks into the ground. Clapping was the first sign someone else was there, someone capable to slip past his sensory ability. When he looks up to see where the sound is coming from, he sees the Anbu commander, Dragon. You did very well, Naruto, and I would like to personally welcome you into Anbu. We take the most dangerous missions, often unseen and unheard. This is not the place for personal glory but service to your village and the Hokage. From henceforth you will be known as Gamma. Congratulations. Be at Anbu HQ in 1 hour. Dragon said, immediately leaving by Shunshin afterward. As the shadow clone maintaining the barrier dispersed and Gamma helped up Raiyan, he can't help but wonder what the next 3 years of his life will entail. Gamma, you will be paired with Same for this mission. We believe one of our brokers is leaking information to Iowa. We've had an increasing number of skirmishes with their shinobi and the pattern lead us to him. The order is to remove him, but it cannot look like an assassination. Hi, Tora Taicho. When and where should I carry this out? Gamma asked, trying to hide his nervousness. The target is paranoid and has a security system that makes his house nearly impenetrable without notice. However, it only activates at night given how sensitive and cumbersome it is, and has a timed release for the morning. You'll need to sneak in before nightfall, carry out your mission and wait until dawn to slip out unnoticed. Tora said. Does the target live alone? Asked Same. No, he has a wife and 3 kids, but she takes the children on an annual trip around this time every year. That's when you'll strike. If there are no further questions, I want you 2 to leave immediately. Hi, both subordinates said. It took 3 days of travel to get to the town in Earth Country, and just like Tora said, the wife had taken the kids. Gamma found an accessible entry point. It being unseasonably warm made their target keep a window open. A simple hinge, and Gamma snuck through the window with no problem and stowed away in a cellar. Shortly after gaining entrance, the target left, returning almost an hour later with an unforeseen complication. Apparently, the target had or was continuing to have an affair, one that produced a child. That child was currently in the residence. A sense of dread overcame Gamma as he debated whether he should continue the mission or put it off for later. Each option carried risks, but if this man was supplying Iowa with information on our missions, therefore movement of our forces, a delay could result in fatalities among Leaf Nin. Steeling himself, Gamma continued to wait until 3 a.m. when he created a shadow clone and snuck into the target's room. That shadow clone immediately blurred the hand signs for a privacy seal, while the original Gamma put a paralysis seal on the target. Reaching into his waistband, Gamma pulled out a syringe filled with potassium chloride. Forcibly opening the target's mouth, Gamma injected the poison under the target's tongue. The effect was near instantaneous as the target eyes became wide, but the paralysis seal prevented him from moving. Not even a minute later, the target was dead from heart failure. Given the man's age and size, no one should ask too many questions, and given the potential scandal of his love child, the focus may be on elsewhere. Just as Gamma dispersed his clone and dropped the privacy seal, he heard footsteps coming down the hall. Quickly entering the bedroom closet, Gamma waited for the child to enter the room, praying he would just go to the bathroom. "Dad, I had bad dream, can I sleep in here?" the child asked. "Dad," the child said as he shook his father. "Dad," he said a little more desperately as the man continued to be unresponsive. "Dad, wake up, please," he screamed as the child broke down. He pleaded with his father to awake, hoping this an elaborate prank, or if not, he'd be granted a miracle. Gamma assumed, but neither of those happened. What made it worse was that the kid, likely not a frequent visitor, didn't know how to deactivate the security in case of emergency, so was locked in a house with his dead father and his father's murderer. Around 6 am the security system disabled for the morning, and the kid ran out of the house toward the neighbors. Gamma took this opportunity to leave and meet up with Same. After a few days of traveling in mostly silence, Same asked Gamma, "Why didn't you just send in a shadow clone? Shadow clones can only do what the original can do. I didn't know if I could kill a civilian like that, so sending a shadow clone was too big a risk, given they can think for themselves and choose not to follow my directives." Nothing more was said until they arrived back into Konoha. It took a few days and a lot of talking with Tsunade to get Naruto out of his funk. The talk helped with the nightmares he was having. Because the two were often paired up on their mission, Naruto became closer to Same than his other squad members. Which is saying something, because the squad as a whole were pretty close. This is the team dynamic Naruto wished he had while on Team 7, but it was nice to have it now. Naruto helped Same with his ninjutsu, and Same taught Naruto kenjutsu with a katana. While he'd likely always prefer his dual kodaichi, he was never one to turn down training. Besides, it made his mom incredibly happy. "Ah, my Sochi is finally learning to fight with a proper blade. Once you get adept at the basics, maybe I can show you a few katas, nay?" Kushina said as she stroked Naruto's hair as his head lay in her lap. "I'd like that, although I think my dual kodaichi are proper blades. They seem to cut through everything I need them to." PFF'd. Why have two blades when one can do? Katanas rule all, Databane. Naruto could only snicker in response and nod in agreement. If it made her happy, he'd learn as much about wielding a katana as he could. His time in the Anbu was not without lose, as a mission in Rice Country saw Same fall to one of Orochimaru's former followers. Due to his fall, Oto had been in disarray, and Anbu teams were tasked with handling the most dangerous elements there. It had been a routine mission with the squad until they had to separate. There were 4 large chakra signatures in the area. Same and Gamma got stuck with 2 with interesting and lethal Kekai Genkai, one had Shoten, the other Shikatsunyaku. Both were a bad matchup for Same, but seeing as how the bone guy looked sickly, it was decided Gamma would take the crystal girl and hurry back to him as fast as he could. The fight between Gamma and the Shoten user lasted longer than he would have liked, as the crystals offered powerful offensive and defensive options, managing to wound Gamma with a crystal spike. However, he managed to catch her off guard with a wind-empowered exploding kunai. While he wasn't enough to kill her, the blast threw her back and left her unprepared for the kunai that was sunk into her skull to the ring on the handle, killing her instantly. As Gamma raced off to help Same, he saw his comrade and friend being run through with a bone sword, as the bone user appeared to have an advanced form of the curse seal. Trying to keep calm, Gamma created 4 cage bunshin and each charged toward his final opponent. One clone removed Same from the vicinity of the fight while the others went on the attack. Even with wind chakra coating their blades, the cuts didn't do significant damage to the Oto Nin, which was fine. The attack was just a misdirection anyway. The Oto Nin didn't notice the 3 kunai surrounding him in a triangular fashion, nor was he fast enough to escape the fire barrier, the same barrier Gamma used in his entrance test. Gamma could tell the bone user looked smug, and it was all confirmed when he spoke. "You can trap me, little Anbu, but the barrier will eventually fall, and when it does, I'll kill you like I did your comrade." Yule. He didn't finish his diatribe as he was engulfed in white-hot flames, flames hot enough to melt steel or incinerate a body. Had this been 6 months previous, the now pile of ashes may have had a reason to be confident. But not being satisfied with just making a barrier, Naruto improved his techniques so each elemental barrier offered a form of attack. Wind barriers offered a perfect vacuum in which to suffocate those entrapped. The lightning barrier could shock someone with increasing levels of intensity, and the fire barrier would burn someone alive. It was cold comfort, however, as even avenging his friend did little to dull the pain of having lost him. The trip back to Konoha was quiet for the squad as they mourned the fallen. It was, once again, Tsunade who helped Naruto through his grief, as she had experienced what not mourning properly could do to a person. Speaking of Tsunade, Naruto still lived at the Senju compound with her and Shizune. The investigation into the fire was completed shortly after he was inducted into Anbu, the duration caused by the thoroughness of the investigation. While Naruto was incredulous that the fire was caused by faulty wiring, the fact that the fire started on a level below his gave credence to the results. Deciding not to let his history override facts, he accepted the fire as an unfortunate accident off a poorly maintained building. One that got the building manager and owner into some serious trouble over. Tsunade is scary when she wants to be. Her ability to invoke terror is how she managed to make Naruto promise he'd have dinner with her at least twice a week if he were in town. When he initially moved into the compound, he attempted to stay out of Tsunade and Shizune's way, which led to some faulty assumptions, namely, that he wasn't comfortable around them. After an awkward conversation, Naruto admitted that he had lived alone for so long he simply didn't know how to live with someone else or be a proper guest, so he just tried to be as out of the way as possible. The 2 ladies reassured Naruto that he was more than just a guest and should think of the compound as his home. It took a while, but they all eventually settled into a nice groove. Naruto particularly loved the training grounds. They were serene, and it was a remote one where he was trying to take his Doden and Suiten manipulation to the next level after seeing the level Tora Taicho was at the releases. It took a few months, mainly because he simply couldn't use his clones for this, but he eventually able to perfect the earth style, rampart of flowing soil, and the water style, waterfall basin jutsu, to the point he was able to create a 30-foot waterfall with only minimal chakra exhaustion. With some help from Tora Taicho, adding a wooden water wheel and Jiraiya aiding in seals, Naruto was not only able to keep the waterfall a secret but make it a permanent part of the property. Both Tsunade and Shizune loved surprise. Naruto had taken to climbing up the waterfall with his hands as a chakra control exercise once he got used to running up it. He eventually asked Tsunade for some more strenuous exercises as the intensity of the Anbu training and his continued studies in Fuinjutsu, Politics of elemental nations and anything else that struck his fancy meant his already massive chakra reserves were continuing to expand, so he had to perform hard control exercises to keep up. Speaking of Jiraiya, the two have adopted something of a strained, yet professional, relationship. Jiraiya offers his input on Naruto's Fuinjutsu projects and spars when he's in town. He also introduced Naruto to Fukasaku-sama, one of the elder toads Naruto will be training with in year 3. The two got along well enough, apparently as long as you mind your manners the old toad isn't so bad. Naruto's training time with Danzo had been limited the first year, not only getting adjusted to the demands of the Anbu lifestyle, but Danzo wanted to see how Naruto would develop without his guidance. He was impressed that his young pupil had not only sought to master every jutsu in his arsenal but had begun experimenting with creating his own. This led to something of an uncomfortable meeting about 3 months ago on the Senju training grounds. "Sensei, what is the Sandaime doing here?" "Naruto, for your ninjutsu studies to progress as far as they can you need training from the greatest ninjutsu mind in the elemental nations, and Hiruzen has graciously offered to help. You may have reservations, but please know you are going to accept his help, like an adult, or I'll cane you and won't help you learn the vacuum release nor request Tsunade Haim let you see the Nadaime's notes on his Suiten jutsu." "Ah, come on, sensei. No complaining. Fine. I'll gladly accept your help, Sandaime sensei." "Good, my boy. First, I need to see what you can do so we'll have a spar," Hiruzen said with a gleam in his eyes. The spar was really more of a beating with Naruto wasting chakra in between. The old man didn't even seem to be trying, which made Naruto revert back to some of his younger behavior. "Oi, you could at least pretend to breathe hard, Gigi. Mean old Hokages, picking on teenagers." Hiruzen had to fight back his smile as Naruto continued to rant and rave. Time under Danzo or even Naruto's own attempts can only suppress the Uzumaki temper so much. Since Hiruzen begun helping Naruto become a master of ninjutsu, there had been a slow thaw between the two, and while Naruto may never trust him like he did as a child, he hoped the boy could forgive an old fool before he departed for the pure world. Naruto had also begun to establish better relationships with much of his graduating class and Team Guy, with 2 exceptions. While Naruto had already started to develop a friendship with Team 10 due to his training with Asuma Sensei, he also found a great sparring partner in Lee during his off days with the Anbu. Him and Shino still got along well, though it took them some time to navigate the Hinata issue since neither wanted to betray her privacy, but Naruto still wanted to know she was doing okay. Speaking of Hinata, she had made Chunin shortly after Naruto entered the Anbu, and while he couldn't have direct contact with her, sneaking into the Hyuga compound and her room to leave her a gift, a necklace with a star-shaped charm with sapphire and amethyst gems in it. He also left her a scroll on creating privacy seals with just hand signs. He had the brightest smile when he saw her wearing her gift at the dinner the senseis threw for the new Chunins. He hadn't seen much of her, but he was aware she was being pushed to start accepting dates from potential suitors. As much as it hurt, he realized that this was going to happen. She requested he not wait for her, and it appeared she wouldn't have the choice to wait for him, and while he wasn't dating anyone, he wasn't exactly alone, which brings us to the present. "I really wish you wouldn't sneak out the window like we're doing something wrong or shameful. I know we aren't, it's just weird, being in my idol's house and ya know." "I don't. Why don't you explain it to me?" Naruto said, fighting off a smirk. "Ugh, you're insufferable. It's weird having with my best friend in my idol's house, okay? Is that what you want to hear? I heard what I wanted to hear last night. A whole lot of yes, oh, and my name, so I'm good." "You're a bastard," Tenten said, now fighting off her own smirk and a bit of blush. "That may be, Ten-chan, that may be, but this bastard managed to snag you an awesome birthday present." "Oh, really? Of course, it's in that black-rimmed scroll on the desk, but that's only part of it." Reaching for the storage scroll, Tenten unseals the content and is initially rendered speechless. Rushing over to Naruto, she plants a kiss on his lips and proceeds to thank him. How did you get these? It was during a mission about a month or so ago. We were tasked with removing this element in a mining town, and Raiga was there. You have to tell me about it. There really isn't much to tell, it wasn't much of a fight. I had to seal off the chakra of this kid he was working with though. Anyway, after we dealt with him and freed the town, the squad agreed to let me keep the swords to gift to a friend, and here we are. You, Tenten, are the proud owners of the Kiba blades. You sure do know how to spoil a girl, Uzumaki. You said the Kiba were only part of my present, Tenten says. Oh, you remembered that, did you? Yes, while I was in the shower. Now what's the other part? I asked Kakashi-sensei to help you mold Raiden chakra. Thank you, Naruto. She replied with a 1,000-watt smile. Of course, you've always been there for me and I can never truly thank you, so I figured, why not a legendary weapon? I can't fault your logic. Well, I need to get out of here, I'm incredibly late. Just tell Guy-sensei you were stoking your flames of you. I'd really rather not. You're coming to my party tonight, yes? Let me rephrase. Uzumaki, you will be at my part tonight, and if I have to come find you, you won't be happy. God, fine Panda-chan, I'll be there. Good, and no fighting. What the hell kind of thing is that to say? I don't just go around fighting people, ya know. I can think of 2 specific instances where that was not the case. They were both being assholes. Also, we never actually fought, if you recall. Yes, because you were stopped. Or do you not remember breaking Shino's hand? He should have just let me deck Kiba, and I felt crappy that I hurt him. But no one got hurt the other time. Because I stopped you. Look, I don't have time for this. They'll both be there. Just make polite, for me. Fine, fine for you. Thank you, now I'm off. Tenten says as she hops out the window and leaves via Shunshin. Deciding to start his day, Naruto showers and changes into some casual clothing before heading to the kitchen, where he finds Shizune with an unsettling grin. Ohio, Naruto-kun. Ohio, Shizune. What's with the grin? Oh, nothing, I just heard the most peculiar sounds last night. And this morning, I saw someone make a hasty exit from your bedroom window. Really? I may have to look into the security seals then. We shouldn't have intruders where the Hokage resides. Is that how you want to play this? I don't have the foggiest as to what you mean, Shizune-chan. Okay, but remember, you wanted this. Anyway, what's on the agenda today? I have to meet the new member of my squad today, and Tenten has her party tonight, but other than that my day is pretty open, so who knows. Alright, well, I've got to get to the hospital, but I'll be seeing you later, stud. Oi, Tenten, glad you could make it. Sorry, sensei, I had a late start. It's fine, Lee and Neji are sparring, so we have a bit. Oh, my rival informed me that Naruto got you a most youthful present. Kakashi said he'd be by before training ended it to set up a schedule. The two walk over to where Lee and Neji were concluding their spar. Hi, Tenten, happy birthday. Thanks, Lee. Guy and Lee soon depart to stoke their youthful flames, leaving Tenten and Neji alone. Tenten, I noticed you were coming from the opposite direction of your apartment. Good morning to you, too, Neji. I see you're still consorting with the Uzumaki. I don't see how that's any of your business. You had the opportunity to be the one I consort with, and you turned me down. It isn't that simple. There are clan matters to consider. I'm not free to simply do as I wish without consequence. So you've said, and yet you didn't even take a chance. At least Hinata and Naruto were brave enough to try to be together. You won't even see if it's possible. So, now, what? You won't be with me, but no one else can either. What do you want me to do? I've been cursed, fated to serve and be controlled by the main branch. And you do nothing to change it. Do you ally yourself with Hinata? Do you try learning Fuinjutsu? Do you even try to get me information on the seal sire Naruto could begin to help you? No, you just sulk and bitch while laying down and taking it. You do nothing to improve your situation and yet you have the nerve to judge me. To shame me, you arrogant prick. Tenten, I've apologized about that. And yet you always feel free to offer a snide comment about one of my oldest friends, someone who was there for me when you rejected me. Who was willing to defend me, to hell with the consequences. Look, I can accept you don't want to be with me. I was hoping you'd either take a chance or if not we could still be friends, but now I'm not sure I even want to remain on the team. I won't be a perpetual target for your disrespect. I'm not Hinata and I don't feel like I owe you a damn thing. Before Neji could respond, Tenten leaves via Shunshin. Neji's feelings of guilt quickly turn to anger as he deems the source of his rift with Tenten to be caused not by his actions nor, ironically, by fate but by Naruto himself. Having selecting a sufficient target, Neji heads off to find the Uzumaki, to confront him once and for all. Back at the Senju compound, we find Naruto currently sitting by the Senju waterfall, as he called it, entertaining company. So, why am I here again? Because I want to bro down with my favorite summons. You're just bored, aren't you? I'm so incredibly bored, Gamakichi. Why not train? I have something to do later on, so no getting sweaty before then. Garden. I've seen to it. Daikons are nearly ready to be picked. Ooh, awesome, you'll have to send me a few. Of course. What about working on some seals? Considered it. I don't want to lose time because I'm too involved. Besides, I need some non-shinobi hobbies. Well, you're in quite the pickle, bro. That's what I've been saying. Before Naruto finishes his statement, he lets out a hard sigh as he senses someone approaching. Looks like I won't be bored for long. Kami must want to teach me a lesson. What's that now? There's someone on his way here and this person isn't a fan of me nor I him. I should have enjoyed the lull. Oh well, let's get ready to greet our guest, nay. I'm down. Think you'll fight? Hopefully not. It would upset Tenten and Hinata if I hurt him. Well, I got your back. Thanks, Kichi. Moments later, a seething, for a Hyuga anyway, Neji arrives. Uzu. Do you often come on clan compounds uninvited? I hope you have a good justification for this lapse in decorum. You realize the Hokage resides, yes. Since when do you care about decorum? Logical fallacies won't save you. Now, why have you disturbed my toad friend and I? Whatever your relationship with Tenten is, it needs to end. Neji, we've done this before. I'm not interested in doing it again. Leave the grounds and never attempt to bring this up again. Naruto says as he turns his back to Neji toward the waterfall. I will not be dismissed by you, Uzumaki. You will cease this unsorted relationship even if I have to make you. Naruto can only laugh at this foolish boy, angering Neji further. Neji, we've done this before. What Tenten and I do is none of your business. If you want it to be your business, then find your backbone, coward. Now reaching his breaking point, Neji dashes toward Naruto, causing him to turn and face him just as Neji lashes out with a palm strike directly to Naruto's heart. A potentially fatal blow if this Naruto weren't a shadow clone. Before Neji can process what he just attempted to do, he feels a hand grab his right calf and then everything goes black. When Neji regains consciousness, he sees that he is on a couch in Hiyashi's office, with Hiyashi, Naruto and Hinata looking at him expectantly. Now that he's awake, we can resolve this. Your member entered the Senju clan grounds uninvited and proceeded to attack me. The Hokage will have to be informed about this as it is her clan grounds and I am her guest. I hope you and she can resolve this issue without too much hassle, Hiyashi-san. Naruto said before dispersing. Bristling at the lack of proper honorific, Hiyashi glares at Neji. Neji, because of your foolhardy actions you have likely shamed the clan. I don't know what I'll have to do to resolve this, but it will likely leave me on even shakier ground with the Hokage, someone, I might add, who is not exactly fond of me. If it were Sarutobi-sama we could have come to an understanding, but with Tsunade, she will want a pound of flesh, so you need to explain to me what was worth you attempting to kill a fellow leaf nin on the Hokage's familial land. It was a personal matter, Hiyashi-sama. The Uzumaki has a way of infuriating me and I lost my composure. It will not happen again. No, that is not good enough. This is the second time I have heard about you attempting to attack him, only this time you got your handed to you. Hiyashi-sama. He used tricks. The Uzumaki could never defeat me in combat. Are you really this foolish? Neji. He brought you here, knocked out and tied up with ninja wire. If that had been any enemy he'd have killed you, possibly after having removed your eyes. You are not a child, you insisting that tricks do not count could get you killed someday. Hi, Hiyashi-sama. Will that be all? For now. As Neji exits, Hiyashi turns to address Hinata. You were awfully quiet on this issue. I'm sorry, what was I to say? Hinata asks, adopting an emotionless mask. As the heiress, you are expected to have opinions on matters that affect the clan. I'm not sure what opinion there is to be had. Neji's error is on you to fix. Seems pretty straightforward. Will you be present at this meeting? No, I have other matters to attend to. If I may be excused. Yes, Hinata, go on. Thank you. Hiyashi can only slouch in an unhyuga-like manner as he thinks, she doesn't even refer to me as father anymore. Allow for the moment to pass. Hiyashi prepares to meet Tsunade and hopes she's not out for blood. Entering Anbu HQ, Naruto sees his squad has already gathered. Am I late? He asks. No, Gamma, we've actually all just got here early. Let me formally introduce you to our new permanent squad member, Hubby. Hello Hubby, nice to have you on board. Thank you, Gamma-san. So, Gamma, since you weren't here for your entry test, why not show her around and familiarize her with our schedule? Hi, Taicho. Hubby, if you can follow me. As the two walk around the HQ, Naruto informs her of their training schedule and primary responsibilities as a squad along with the specializations of each squad member. So, what would be your specialty, Hubby? Taijutsu, poisons and interrogation. Excellent, with those you should fit right in. How about ninjutsu? What are your affinities? Primarily Sweden with a weaker rate in secondary. Awesome. If you ever want help with your Sweden jutsu, let me know. You have a Sweden affinity. Yes, but I've completed the nature manipulation exercises for every element but lightning. That's impressive. No wonder you're the ninjutsu specialist on the team. Scratching the back of his head at the praise, Naruto can only nod at the compliment as he finishes the tour. Do you know what kind of weapon you'll be wielding for your kenjutsu requirement? I was thinking a ninjutsu. Cool. Ryan will be the biggest aide in the squad, Neko Taicho in the entire Anbu. What about you? Primarily, I use dual kodachi, but I have been learning forms with a katana as well. Bit of a jack of all trades, I take it. I guess. More than likely I just need hobbies that don't revolve around the shinobi arts. You could get a girlfriend. My. So forward, Hubby-chan, and we've only just met. Why, I don't even know what you look like out of your mask. First, if you must use an honorific, I will be called Hubby-Heim. Secondly, I didn't say it'd be me, Gamma-chan. Wait. If I can't call you Hubby-chan, then there is no way you'll be calling me Gamma-chan. Why not? It fits. Something about you just says Gamma-chan. As your senpai, I will have to insist you not call me that. And as your Taicho, I must insist she does. Tora said from behind the pair. Ah, that's mean, Taicho. Naruto says as Hubby and Tora laugh at his predicament. Tsunade-sama, Hiyashi-sama is here to see you. Thank you, Shizune, escort him in. Shizune left and promptly returned with Hiyashi, who had been dreading this meeting. Times have not been great for the Hyuga clan head for the year or so. The clan has been stagnating. New business ventures have been drying up, going to competing concerns, and if that weren't bad enough, it is starting to filter through the nation that Hiyashi does not have the influence with the Godime that he had with the Sandame. This, of course, has angered the elders of his clan and has only increased the pressure upon him. His only saving grace is that these same elders are in no rush to see Hinata take over as clan head, fearing the changes she would instill, but that doesn't mean they can be a perpetual pain in Hiyashi's Tsunade-sama, Hiashi says with a polite bow. Thank you for coming, Hiashi. It appears we have some issues to discuss. Yes, one of my clansmen attacked a guest on your estate. How can we remedy this before things escalate? Oh, there won't be any need for that. Naruto explained what happened. Said it was just poor little boy with unresolved feelings, asked me to just let the issue lie, which I've agreed to. Thank you, Tsunade-sama. Don't. I also issued Naruto an order. If Neji should attack him again, Naruto is to treat him as a threat and respond to any acts of violence with extreme prejudice. Tsunade-sama, you can't be serious. Why can't I? Naruto isn't Neji's punching bag and I'm not going to let his attachments get him hurt. All of this is moot as long as Neji never attempts to attack him again. I won't stand for this. You're telling me you've ordered my nephew's death and you expect me to be okay with it. Hiashi, look at me. What makes you think I'm concerned about what you will and won't stand for? I've shown you mercy, I expect gratitude. As far as your nephew is concerned, it's my understanding that you're partially the reason he's wounded so tightly to begin with. He hates the main branch but can't lash out at you, so he picks weaker targets. Hurt people, Hiashi. I will not be discussing internal clan issues with you, but it strikes me that you've issued this order specifically because it's against the Hyuga clan. Think what you wish, it matters not. So, is this how it's going to be between us, Tsunade-sama? Needlessly antagonistic. How have I antagonized you, Hiashi? How have I harmed you? You've ordered a seasoned Anbu to murder my clansman should he step out of line. I've ordered an honored guest of the Senju to defend himself against a known threat. You make it sound like Neji will, no matter what, attack Naruto again. He may. I've impressed upon him how bad it would be, but he may. I don't think he deserves to have his life ended if he should. Are you serious? I know you don't value Naruto, but that stupid boy tried to turn his heart to mush. You keep this up and I'll execute the little head myself. Hiashi, don't test my patience. He isn't being charged with anything, your clan isn't being sanctioned. Nothing has happened, and as long as you keep your clan members under control, nothing will. For now. But what about the next time you have a convenient reason to take action against my clan? Hiashi, can you just say what you want to say? Fine, Hokage-sama. You've never been a fan of my clan. This is well known, but ever since I made Hinata choose, you've all but openly hostile toward me. I know you've taken to the boy, but that doesn't give you the right to try to dictate internal clan matters. How have I tried to interfere in your clan? Give me one specific example. If you can't, stop making things up. And if I happen not to like you because of something you did, actions have consequences for everyone, even the great Hiashi Hyuga. So, you don't even bother to deny it. Deny what? That I don't like you. Sure. Not a fan. That's not illegal, Hiashi. And all over that boy. It's absurd. What's absurd is keeping two people who care about each other, who have been nothing but good for each other, away from each other. I have my reasons, not that I need explain myself. Oh, yes, I'm aware of your reasons, Hiashi. Can't even bother to form your own opinion, so you base your decision off what you think the Sandaime felt, not even checking to see if the man has changed his opinion. A cynical person might assume this was an attempt to rein in an heiress that might be getting a bit uncontrollable, one not so tied to tradition. Start making her make compromises early until you manage to compromise her so nothing has to change. Hiashi looked as if he'd be struck. He couldn't deny that part of his motivation was to make sure Hinata wouldn't uproot too many of the Hyuga traditions, firmly believing that ties to the past is what give a clan substance. He knew he was being unduly cruel when he said Naruto had nothing to offer the clan, and if Minato and Kushina were still alive, he'd likely have been run through with either Kushina's katana or those damn chains. But simply keeping Hinata in line wasn't his only motivation. War is on the horizon, Tsunade, he said barely above a whisper. Shocked at how defeated he sounded, Tsunade allowed the breach in decorum. I may be a hard man, some say unbending, but I do love my children. I know how happy those two make each other, but Naruto's burden has made him a marked man and the shinobi world has been at a state of peace for too long. If he manages to survive the Akatsuki threat, what of Iwa? Should any senior Iwa shinobi ever get a good look at him, they'd likely mobilize a platoon of assassins just at the mere possibility that he is Minato's son. Kumo may do the same. Or they may come after those he cares about. Kumo would think nothing of trying to kidnap Hinata again. I won't tie my daughter to someone who will likely be at the center of the next shinobi war. An upcoming war is mere speculation, and Naruto won't be facing Akatsuki alone, nor will he be underprepared. Oh, I've heard. Some estimates have him as a low-ranked shinobi. Not even 2 full years of dedicated training and he's lapped everyone in his generation. Did you ever think that a legitimate S-rank Jinchuriki, one who achieved the ranking without the aid of his Biju, might be enough of a spark? But as you said, Hiashi, this is all speculation. We all lead dangerous lives. Trying to socially engineer Hinata a long-term partner is folly, Hiashi. There is time, don't alienate your heiress over what might happen. If that is all, Hokage-sama. Yes, Hiashi, you're dismissed. Tenten's party was taking place on the roof of her parents' weapons supply shop. Since it's a fairly large retail space, there was plenty of room for all the guests to dance and mingle. Some well-placed seals also ensured it would not be too cold. All of the rookies had already arrived before him, Naruto noticed. How he just wanted to go home, but he knew he had to be here for Tenten, so he got up and sought out the birthday girl and sees she's talking with Lee. Happy birthday, Tenten, he says while giving her a quick hug. Thanks, she said smiling. The three shinobi continue conversing until Hinata calls everyone around so Tenten may start opening her gifts. The party was undeniably fun, and around midnight everyone starts to clear out. Naruto leaves some shadow clones to clean up the roof while he, Tenten and Team 8 make their exit from the building. So, Naruto, I noticed you didn't get Tenten a gift. You really are a cheap bastard, said Kiba. Every member of the group save Naruto and Tenten himself tensed at Kiba's barb. He gave me my present earlier, Kiba, and if he hadn't, it was not your place to mention it. I can defend myself. Oh, I'm sure he did give it to you earlier, Kiba said with a lecherous grin, making both Tenten and Hinata uncomfortable at the barely hid insinuation. Naruto was not uncomfortable. He was not even angry. There was no need. He understood that there was a jaw in need of breaking. The best kind of problems are the ones with immediate solutions. Before he could turn to Kiba and carry out his newly formed plan, goal of shutting Kiba's mouth, Shino spoke up. I intervened once on your behalf. I felt professional ethics and our burgeoning friendship required as much. However, what I chose to believe is a slip of a brash, loose-lipped but overall decent person was clearly mistaken. You intended to cause harm when you revealed something you had no right to, and while I've never blamed either of you for my broken hand, I had hoped it would forestall future conflict. Not this time, Shino, he needs to learn to watch his mouth. Naruto said, barely restraining his temper. Shino simply raises his hand in an attempt to calm his friend, knowing how quickly things could escalate. Naruto, I don't disagree, but please escort Tenten home while I talk to my teammate. Fine, Shino. If you're free, let's grab some lunch tomorrow. I'll see you there. Waiting for the two to leave, Shino stares at Kiba. You need to grow up, Kiba. Whatever issues you have with Naruto need to be resolved. I have no issues with the dead last. Is it my fault he can't take a joke? Kami, I didn't know it was such a big secret. Maybe not, but let's not play games. You outed Tenten and Naruto in an attempt to embarrass him in front of me. Hinata said. What's sad is that I already knew. While both were attempting to be discreet, I had noticed a change in how they interacted and deduced that while not fully romantic, their relationship had turned physical. No one needed you to announce it, she said before departing herself. That isn't the way to win her, although you've likely lost any chance of that happening. I don't get it. I don't get why you and she are so drawn to him. Hell, even my mother seems to love that useless shinobi. I don't get it. Who says you need to? I do. I need to know what makes him so special. I want someone to explain it to me. He was always a loser. Someone who couldn't even throw a proper punch, and now you all act as if he's heads and shoulders above the rest. Why do you care? Naruto's increase in skill does not prevent your own. I find this illogical. Because it wasn't supposed to be like this. It was one thing to always be behind Sasuke. To not be as smart as you or Shikamaru. But to be surpassed by that joke of a ninja is a step too far. He isn't as good as he pretends, and I'll prove. When you meet him tomorrow, tell him I want a spar. No restrictions. Fine, Kiba, I will inform him, said a clearly displeased Shino. Naruto, he wishes to challenge you to a spar. I heard you, Shino. I'm just amazed how talented Kiba is at making poor choices. I'm guessing you didn't try to talk him out of this. It would have fallen on deaf ears. Kiba is fixated on you, as if every step forward you take causes him to take one back. I think you two need this. Naruto silently considers the offer. He can beat Kiba without much problem. That's not being arrogant, it's just the simple reality. Naruto's skill set, his Doden and Suiten releases along with his Fuinjutsu allows him to control the terrain. Add his ability with shadow clones and he's a one-man assault squad, lethal at any range. But that'd almost be an issue in itself. Beat him too quickly and Kiba won't be humbled. No, he has to give Kiba an apparent advantage and then strip it away from him. Shino could see Naruto's mind at work. The foxy grin adorning the blonde's face is confirmation enough that Naruto is planning something troublesome. I'll do it, Shino, but on one condition. A lunar spar, in 2 days. Naruto sees Shino quirk his eyebrow, but his friend only nods as he exits the table, piecing together what his friend has in store for his teammate. I'd almost pity Kiba if he had not brought this on himself. I wish I could disagree with you. Of course I'll root for my student, but I think Kiba has bitten off more than he can chew. Kurenai said. Yay, but this is probably for the best. Naruto might play with him a bit and bruise his ego, but it's better than an outright beating, chimed in Asuma before taking a drag of his cigarette. Troublesome blonde. What, Shika? Asked Ino. Given the phase of the moon, there is very little visibility tonight. That would appear to give Kiba a definite advantage, so why would Naruto be the one to request a nighttime spar? If this was the Naruto from the academy, I would just call it poor planning, answered Choji. Yes, but that Naruto is long gone, if he was ever real. It means he either has a way to neutralize Kiba's advantage or he's saying they wouldn't be enough to improve his chances anyway, countered Shikamaru. Okay, gentlemen, you have 1 hour or until there is a victor. Hajime. And with Kakashi's signal, Naruto and Gamakichi disappear with a burst of speed. As soon as the entry to the forest is out of sight, Naruto and Gamakichi separate. Naruto starts flooding the area with his chakra, making it near impossible to locate him with by non-visual means. After 15 seconds of flooding the forest with his presence, he cuts it off and hides his chakra signature completely, one of the first things Kakashi taught him to do. Naruto's gambit affected Kiba and Akamaru as both failed to pinpoint his specific location. Coming to the conclusion that tracking by smell would do them no good, they duo focus on sound. Hearing movement, both head in that direction. Once they arrive, both attempt to extend their senses to locate any movement but sense nothing. The duo would only have to look up in a tree behind them to see Naruto, perfectly masking his presence until it is time to strike. As fast as he finished the thought, he sees Gamakichi descend upon Akamaru, placing a knockout seal on the Ninken. As Kiba turns to defend Akamaru, he is struck in his left knee by one of Naruto's rattan, giving Gamakichi time to abscond with the hound. Kiba barely has time to think as Naruto plants a roundhouse on the distracted Inuzuka's jaw, sending him to the forest floor as Naruto heads to atop the trees once again. If this was going to be the sum total of your challenge, why even bother? Naruto said, his voice projected, not giving away his location. What did you do to Akamaru, bastard? The Inuzuka yelled but received no response. Rubbing his jaw and trying to shake off the effects of the kick, Kiba tries, again to pinpoint where Naruto could be, but had no success until he felt a quick chakra spike. Turning to the direction of the spike, Kiba is met with a cloud of ash. Naruto had performed the fire style ash pile burning but did not ignite the ash cloud, instead removing sight and smell from the Inuzuka. Kiba instantly begins to cough due to the unexpected cloud. Attempting to ready himself for an assault, he is instantly struck in the neck, then the heart, followed by the lungs and finished with the liver. Once the final attack is delivered, Naruto returns atop the trees, slashing the carotid artery, stabbing the heart, lungs, or liver. Had I used a bladed weapon, you'd be worse off than just a little pain. That's twice now I could have finished this, and if we were enemies twice now I would have taken your life. Potentially moved on to your teammates and killed them too. All because of you, Kiba. As much as he wants to respond, Kiba is simply in too much pain. The liver shot left him gasping for air, which only made him inhale more of the ash cloud. Retreating to another part of the forest, Kiba hopes to buy himself some time and maybe think of a strategy for Naruto. His hope was for naught, as he soon found himself with a noose of ninja wire around his neck, with Naruto descending from a branch above until the two-leaf nin met in the middle of the air. Kiba, all I would have to do is focus some wind chakra into this wire and I'd have beheaded you. Trust me, I've done it before. Naruto whispered, recalling a particularly gruesome moment of inspiration. Poor Oto Nin never saw it coming. Seeing that there wasn't much more to be done, Naruto hits Kiba in the back of his head, knocking him out. He then drops to the ground, catching Kiba as he falls and removing the ninja wire from his neck. He then shunsons to Kakashi so he can call it. Not even 10 minutes, you get bored too easily, stated Kakashi, looking at the heap known as Kiba on the ground and his student scratching the back of his head. You know I'm not one to play with my food. Besides, I could have ended it at 3 different times. Figured the point was proven. Besides, it's getting late and I want to get to bed. As the two continued talking, Kiba began to stir. Looking to see everyone, he realizes he lost. Feeling utterly humiliated, Kiba does the only thing he could think of. He lashes out at Naruto. I thought you wanted to fight like a man, not run and hide like a bitch. You're still the dead last, couldn't fight me straight up, so you had to play games and cheapshot me. Coward, he all but roared, which earned him a shrug from Naruto. No point in arguing when there is sleep to be had. Yay, turn and walk away. Maybe that's why Hiashi forbade her from seeing you. Hyugas prefer their women to be with real me, real shinobi. Kiba said with a smirk. Everyone tensed as Naruto stopped moving, his head down and eyes closed. You're going to at least cripple him, yes. I'll even lend some of my chakra, said Kurama. No, I promised Suma I wouldn't hurt him too bad, but I will hurt him, replied Naruto. As the exchange with Kiba was taking place, Asuma and Kurenai hurried over to Kakashi and the pair of Chunin. Kiba, how dare you? You've embarrassed yourself and this team. Apologize right now. I refuse. Nothing I've said is wrong. It's okay, Kurenai-san. I wouldn't want an insincere apology anyway, Naruto said, still with his back turned to Kiba and his head down. Kiba, you requested a shinobi spar and were given just that. Am I to include what you truly wanted was a simple fight? Of course, Dobi. No hiding, no bitch shit. Just us going at it. You want to have a go at me. Man, I used to think you wanted Hinata. This is so awkward. Sensei, I'm sure you've been in this situation before. How do you handle it? I want to be supportive but not lead him on. Kakashi and Asuma both laugh, which only infuriates Kiba all the more as he begins to move toward Naruto before being stopped by Kurenai. Sensei, if you would referee one final spar, I think I can humor Kiba. And since he took a bit of a beating while I'm still fresh, I'll only use Suiten Jutsu. Does this sound fair to everyone? The 3 Jonin look at each other, all recognizing this as a bad idea. Kurenai tries to reason with Kiba. Kiba, you've had your spar and you lost. Just leave it be and move on. Besides, Akamaru is still unconscious. Sensei, I can't. I won't let Naruto look down on me. I'd have to care to look down on you. I'd be more than happy to be indifferent toward you if you knew how to shut up. I thought the humiliation in the forest would humble you, but you clearly need an audience. Screw you. I accept. Kiba says, which causes Naruto to smile. A true smile. Oh, how he loves to unleash his sweetened jutsu. Kakashi has the two separate before signaling for them to begin. Hajime, he says, and the two stay perfectly still. Kiba looks calculating. Naruto looks unconcerned. Having enough of the inaction, Kiba launches forward with a Gatsuga, assuming he's too close for Naruto to dodge. Water style. Water formation wall. Naruto whispers as a massive all of water emerges from his mouth, causing Kiba to run into it head first, knocking him out again. Aw, damn it, I had a whole thing planned and he's already knocked out. Oh well, I'm going to bed, good night all. Yo, Kichi, let's bounce. He's been knocked out twice, I've got to get him to the hospital. As Kurenai and Shino leave with Kiba in tow, Team 10 also departs, leaving on Kakashi and Asuma. That was embarrassing, said Kakashi. Completely. Agreed Asuma. Walking into his room, Naruto notices something wrong. Turning on his light, he sees his bedroom covered in pink. Pink bedsheets, pink pillows. He goes into his closet and sees nothing but women's clothing. He then comes across a note on his desk, also in pink. Hi Naru-chan. Do you like how I redecorated your room? Pretty bitchin', right? Let this be a lesson to you. Don't obfuscate with your Nei-chan. Nah, I like Nei-sama. Yes, that'll do. Now, I know you considered yourself something of a prankster in your youth, but if you retaliate, I'll make you take a full physical with that old guy with the creepy ghost hands you tried to drown that one time. For a week. Yep, a whole week of some creepy dude fondling your junk. Anyway, tomorrow during breakfast you and we are going to gab like girlfriends. Dress appropriately or there will be consequences. Sincerely, Shizune Nisama. You win this round, you psychotic spinster, but there will be payback. Over the final 6 months before Naruto left with Jiraiya, his squad's directive had changed from primarily neutralizing Odo bases to focusing on supports within the Akatsuki network. By focusing on their sources of income, the hope was to either delay them or to make the organization get sloppy and start making mistakes. The information provided by Jiraiya's network, and unbeknownst to most everyone, Itachi and Kisame, helped tremendously. Through investigation, what the team discovered is that while the organization has done missions for smaller villages in the past, and even a few for Suna, their primary source for major work is Iwa. Tsunade reasoned that Iwa may be using the Akatsuki so they don't have to send their best jonin on high-risk missions while preparing for war, with the added benefit of having the Akatsuki be a distraction from what Iwa is planning. Danzo and Hiruzen counseled that it would be a mistake to focus too much on Iwa contacts, as it may give away that Konoha knows what Unoki is planning. Agreeing with logic, Tsunade informed Dragon to only move on a single high-value target within Earth country, but sow dissent and distrust with other links in Akatsuki's support chain. So, that is what his squad has been doing, more subterfuge than direct combat, though there was plenty of that. Due to the more delicate infiltration missions required, the squad was paired off and Naruto got assigned hubby. She was good at information retrieval, no denying that, but he was ambivalent about his Anbu partner. He'd have to admit that training with her has been a fun and unique experience, but hubby is weird. For one, she insists they need a theme song. That in itself is fine, but she also says she deserves top billing. Over her senpai, no less. Everyone knows Gamma puts the asses in the seats. When he pointed out that ain't nobody came to see you hubby, he had to dodge poison Senbon for an hour. Not just because he thought he was the star of the show, which she vigorously denies he is, but also because he called her hubby when she is to be addressed as hubby Haim. Every time, she was quite insistent on that. She also criticizes his on-the-field performance. Hey, Gamma-chan. Yes, hubby. She glares at him, even through the mask he can feel the glare. Harem. You're our ninjutsu specialist. Yes. Yes. Yes, I am. We were just in a combat situation. Yes. The dead bodies would suggestion that. Yes. So why don't you ever use any freaking ninjutsu? You always finish things with your kodachi, maybe a seal of some sort but no ninjutsu. Do you even have any ninjutsu? I'm starting to wonder. We've yet to be in a situation that required me to use any. I could just fling them about like those, pointing to the fallen rain nin, amateurs, but I am a refined ninjutsu practitioner and as such my standards are different, he said and then felt her eyes roll. He felt it. How is an eye roll that powerful, he wondered. Whatever, we're having a spar when we get back to HQ, ninjutsu only. Fine, but when I son you don't complain. I heard you once did a spar restricting yourself to nothing but Sweden. How about we do that? Oh, does hubby Haim want Gamma to get her wet? Naruto asks and is immediately hit in his side. Shut up, she yelled through laughs. Just grab the Raijin no Ken so we can leave. Oi, I'm the senpai here. All in all, the two work incredibly well together and have yet to fail a mission, and were gaining a reputation within Anbu as quite the fearsome duo. It had taken 4 months to identify that high-valued Iowa target, and another month to get adequate information to plan his assassination, which had been assigned to Naruto. While researching the guy, who owned several mines throughout Earth Country, which while profitable were a front for Iowa Black Ops. That meant that his security team were actually Iowa Jonin, or at the very least Haichunin. By most conventional analysis he was most vulnerable at his office building, but that was only in a relative sense. He always had 2 guards posted outside his door, with a squad of 8 within the other floors of the building and 4 more posted outside. Naruto was never one for conventional means, and thanks to his gender-changing transformation, he didn't need them. It was almost disappointing how easy it was to lead the target around by his. Gamma gained access to his secure compound in a matter of days with just a little flirting. It just goes to show that the best security in the world can't save someone from themselves. As soon as the target and Gamma, hanged as a naive and innocent blonde named Ani, were alone, said target found himself with a sebum coated with a neurotoxin in his neck. He'd have to thank hubby for that someday. After placing the target's body in a scroll, Gamma created a shadow clone and had it henge as the blonde while Gamma transformed into his now dead target. Gamma could have escaped, but Hiro Saito, the target's name, however, was the entirety of the mission. If possible, Gamma was to eliminate his guardian detail, which Gamma figured would be easier in the building once it had cleared out for the day. While waiting for that, Gamma managed to copy secure documents. Very little of it regarded the Akatsuki, but there was some information regarding Iowa that Commander Dragon and Tsunade-sama might be interested in. Gamma was also able to pilfer some funds from Hiro's secret accounts. It'd take a team of forensic accountants weeks to pull apart where the money ended up, a boring but useful lesson from Danzo-sensei. The end of the business day came and it was time to put his plan in motion. Hiro called out to his guards and the two immediately entered the office only to be greeted with kunai coming for them. The 2 experienced shinobi easily dodged the projectiles and promptly went to attack, failing to realize the kunai were hanged shadow clones. The oversight cost them, as both had kunai plunged into their brain stem before they could carry out the assault. Naruto had his shadow clones henge into one of the fallen guards each and sealed the originals. He then made a shallow wound to his side and burst a blood pack over it to make it look more severe. With a nod, one of the clones jumped out the window while the other propped the wounded Hiro, as the final part of the operation began. One Naruto and the guard made it down to another pair of the detail. The clone killed one immediately. Hiro, what the is going on? We've been betrayed. I've suspected for a while now. The Tsuchikage told me to look into it and I just came across the financial proof. Half the detail has been compromised. Nero attempted to kill me in my office and is likely informing his accomplices. They can't let us leave alive, so they'll likely storm the building. We need to weed out the traitors still inside as fast as we can. Okay, what do you want me to do? Who can we trust? None of the outside guard, they were likely meant to be the extraction team. With him gone, that leaves 3 more we have to take care of. They likely have been alerted yet, so can I trust you to handle Kiko and Jin? Yes, they should be on the 2nd floor now. Go, and Godspeed. Outside the building, Nero, what was that? What's going on? Hero, he's betrayed us. He tried to have me killed, the detail has been compromised. He has at least 4 working with him, we have to storm the building, you know how much sensitive information he has access to. Go get the others, meet back here, go, now. Inside the building, Naruto didn't have to extend his senses to tell the Iowa drone, what's his name, had finished his mission while he and his shadow clone had successfully killed 3 more, leaving 5 in total ready to defend the building. They gathered on the 2nd floor. Hero, you don't look too good. A mere flesh wound, boy. They are coming to take the building, we don't know if they have additional forces waiting for us, so dragging this out is a bad idea, we need to meet them on the ground floor and end this. They all nodded in agreement. Why? There's no point to this fight. 4 Jonin even with an injured person in tow could evade capture. They wouldn't have had that many more men stationed to buttress the extraction if things went pear-shaped. This is just a failure of shinobi tactics. Naruto thinks as his team makes its way to fend off the traitors. Close quarters makes for crappy conditions for Doden Jutsu, so the rival shinobi decide to all engage in close quarter combat. Naruto rolled his eyes, they aren't even attempting to make this difficult. He draws 2 kunai and launches them, kunai shadow clone jutsu, he said, and the 2 kunai became 10. As soon as they reached the Iwa Nin, Naruto flared his chakra and let off a mighty explosion, killing the rivals, including his 2 shadow clones. Using a burst of wind chakra, Naruto clears the debris to make sure all targets have been eliminated. Once confirming this is the case, Naruto summons 10 shadow clones and gives them a nod, subsequently vanishing without a trace. Boss finally did it. Why are you excited? We already know he can do it. It's still damn cool to see. Take that, Minato Tem. Whatever, can we just collapse the damn building already? Hi. 9 clones said in unison before running through the hand signs for Naruto's first original Doden Jutsu. Earth style. Seismic collapse jutsu, they stated while slamming their hands onto the ground. Moments later, an earthquake ripped through the foundation of the building, leaving the supporting structure unstable. The shadow clones disperses just as the building started to collapse in on itself. Getting the memory from his clones, Naruto can only smile at a job well done. 3 days later, Naruto is in the Hokage office with Tsunade, Jiraiya, Danzo, Hiruzen, Kakashi, and Shizune. Tsunade was reading over a report with a slight smile. Chunin Uzumaki, do you know why you've been called here today? No, Hokage-sama, Naruto replies, and is sincere. While he leaves tomorrow, he didn't think he had any official business left before his departure. As I'm sure you've been told, there are no training wheels in the Anbu, everything is a trial by fire, including the Jonin exam. To become a Jonin in the Anbu, the agent must successfully complete an S-ranked mission alone, flawlessly, which you did. It is my great honor to bestow upon you the rank of Jonin, Naruto Uzumaki, may you continue to serve with honor. Tsunade said as she gave Naruto a Jonin vest. Thank you, Hokage-sama. Naruto said, with a face-splitting grin. After receiving congratulations from all in the office, Naruto left to prepare for his departure, and promotion, dinner later tonight wearing his Jonin vest. In Iowa, I've had the nation's best forensic accounts pull apart the transfers. Tell me, why did money from my Black Ops front make its way into shell companies that can be traced back to Rain? I don't know, Tsuchikage-sama. We've been being hit pretty hard, someone is setting us up. Maybe. Deidara-kun, maybe. Or your leader is preparing to turn on Iowa. All I know is what I've told you, he is pretty tight-lipped about his ultimate goal. But we will start moving in a year's time, hard and fast. You really should pull Han and Roshi back to the village, they need the protection. They will be fine, you just keep yourself safe so you can come back home when this is all over and take this accursed hat from me. All in due time, Unoki-sama. Besides, I'd rarely have time for my art if I were a cage, UHN. In Suna. We'll be moving in a year, Gaara will be the first we target. Will he be ready? Don't worry about Gaara, even if he should fall I have a way to get him back. How are you? You look tired. I look like a 14-year-old, Chio-bachan, but I am tired. Being a rogue nin is exhausting and I really don't want to harm another cage. You understand why that had to be done, don't you? Yes, but apparently Rasa was even worse. I just want to be done with this. I know, Sasori-kun, I know.